Howdy, folks. Welcome to Courts of Everest, our original 5th edition campaign. I am Joe Treff, your dungeon master for this evening, and joining me are my friends Matt, Hannah, Kara, and Alana. What happened? What did I miss?
I don't know. He's got a bag of coffee and
gifts
he did like
and
a big
stuff. I got cool shit from Kara.
As usual, Matt decided to do something that I thought was really funny about
Really?
1 second. I know.
To be fair, that's almost anything.
I know.
So, welcome to the Alberon RPG Network. This is our D&D campaign. We are going to play D&D at some point, but before we do that, a couple of quick announcements. We played Starfinder last night, Mosaic Team 5. The group had an interesting combat in the prison block.
Excellent time.
Everybody did great. And so you can check that out on Sunday when it re-airs on YouTube at Alberon RPG, followed by this at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of our old sessions, the old campaign, Call of Calypsos, as well as Sea of Ice, and the other one-shots, roughly like 17 other one-shots, all available on YouTube. We have a website, alberonrpg.com. We also have social media at alberonrpg.com. You can see all kinds of maps and things, like this ship, which is really more of just kind of like a visual perhaps, but all different things like that. Kind of hard to see on camera, a little easier to see on Instagram. And then finally, one other announcement for next week. There is no Starfinder on Thursday. Instead, there is going to be a rebroadcast of the original one-shot Diner in the Drift, which has never aired on Twitch. That was for third-party cons broadcast. Yeah, TPK's broadcast. And so that has aired once. It's going to air for the first time on Twitch next Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Finally, we have Sirenscape, digital sound effects like this lovely 8-bit music that you can hear behind you. I actually don't really know if it's 8-bit. I feel like I don't, that's not right. Is it 16-bit? Is it 32-bit?
This feels like 16.
a bit 64. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's tons of bits.
But it's got the beats and boops, though, which is...
Yeah, that's really what I was thinking.
It's mostly the twinkle.
So there's some bits that are happening here, but however many they are, they're on Sirenscape.
And speaking of bits, something about donating for bits for the channel.
That's more for Mosaic Team 5.
But
This is a pure RPG experience here.
We don't want your bits. Please give us bits.
Supporting the channel in any way is very much appreciated.
Fuck your bits on
it's
Friday.
expensive hobby. So, Sirenscape, digital toolset that you can use to add sound effects to your games. You can add music like this, various bit music. You can also add things like cheering people. You can have things like a breaking pier that was supposed to use like 1,000,000 years ago, and it didn't work back then.
Someday.
Yeah. This is when you guys were battling in Cord's temple that we just talked about.
We gotta go
Guardian.
Break some piers for you.
You gotta go bust up some piers. But all those sound effects available on Sirenscape, not a sponsor. And we can just jump into our recap. I forgot the theme song again.
No.
I texted you too.
No, you did. We have a great theme song from Arcade Anthems, but for 3 weeks now I haven't put it in, so here's our
Just
old
building up the hype.
one. Also for Arcade Anthems. Adventurers. Last we played, I forgot about that. Ori tried once more to outdrink Crispy, a crafty gnome who runs the Wincing Manticore, an inn that you had all had accommodations at. Cheshire watched Ori get wasted as Crispy again outdrank
That was a close one.
the elf individual who seems driven on breaking himself. Crispy ensured that nobody took your belongings, Ori, and then set you to bed. All of you, even Ori, after a half-hour delay, woke with a good night's sleep. You woke a little bit stronger after your perilous encounter with the Grey Ooze, and you all made your way to Hearson at the Mixologist. Hearson chided you for returning without Direcroak or the information that the Grung poisoner likely possesses, and dispatched you east to Hopewell. On your trip, the effects of Ori's drinking game with Crispy finally settled in just a few hours late, as he suddenly transformed into a brown cow bedecked with makeup Cheshire had been putting on him as he walked. You left north, and then wrapped around a stony path back around to the southeast, traveling for only a few hours through dune grass and cherry trees before reaching the city of Hopewell. There you investigated the Dragonborn Artificer's shop, Warren's Press, Cheshire stole Kaori and proceeded to use him in an impromptu stage show. Alina, you on task, found your contact immediately, the half-orc who went by the name Captain Daruk. When you were confronted, when Cheshire was confronted by Alina, a slight social misstep caused all of you to need to leave at a much quicker than anticipated pace. You boarded the ship and headed to Petrichor. The captain informed you that there was a task that she required your assistance with as payment to this place. And so you traveled to a temple that she told you had been run by a priestess who had once worshipped the stars. For the next day, Ori, you set about trying to find the various items that Cheshire had robbed from you when you were asleep. Minka and Billy, you crafted a pair of healing potions. Alina, you attempted with Alina, you attempted with mixed results at learning more about the actual task at hand. And as a day and a half progressed, you found yourselves in a patch of water with only blue sky above, in the center of a perfect sphere of clear clouds, as rain begins to softly fall in the periphery around you, but not on you. Billy, as you toiled below on the potions, some elements of your home life returning to you, you began to feel a crawling sensation like a finger wriggling up the back of your neck. You looked below to find a bronze griffin statue inverted in a space ley-lined by gold wires set into the ground that led to this humming structure. And as you reach out to touch it, that is where we begin this evening.
Yay.
Oh, Billy.
Hi.
It's fine.
Everything's fine.
It's gonna be awesome.
We're gonna live forever. It's gonna be fine, guys.
Billy.
Yeah.
As you reach out, you can see right in front of you, hanging upside down and facing forward and away, the head of this bronze griffin statue, and you see the bronze gleams even in this dark space. Around the mouth, you can see there is this slight discoloration, almost like the metal is oxidized again and again and again, and it forms hues of like blue and red and all kinds of these kind of shades of color. And you reach out to touch it. Go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw, please.
Oh my god. Touch.
You got this. That doesn't bode well. I believe in you.
The player's not dexterous.
You got
Get
this.
it out now, because it's going to be a great roll.
Come on, Billy.
It's a 12.
Okay.
It's not terrible. It's not below a 10.
Yeah, true.
There's a slight static shock as you do fail the saving throw, but it deals no damage. The electricity that runs through this space is a little bit inert at this moment, and as you look around, you would imagine it's stored not just in this thing that people can touch. That would be pretty foolish.
I said not to touch it.
You feel like this kind of static as it makes the hair on the back of your neck lift up a little bit from the shock, but other than that, and other than a very unpleasant static shock, it does no damage. Between the wings, there is this furnace-like apparatus that you can see now that you've moved a little bit closer. And though it is currently empty, you can see there is little bits of ash and dark elements that would hint at something being burned within at some point. You can also see there is a pair of peculiar barrels, and their shape is a little bit thicker than usual. But that is what is in the space.
Would Billy know what that is?
I would say if you want to go and look at it and investigate it more, you certainly can, but you have never seen something explicitly like this.
Okay.
What are you doing?
So I believe what the first mate said was, don't touch that or you'll be imbued with power.
Mr. Crowley.
And with that phrasing, I think Billy would take that at face value and just be like, kind of see that her hair is much frizzier than before. Just like, oh.
Which is very frizzy.
It's very frizzy. Yeah. It's like approaching Alina levels of poof, which isn't normal for Billy. But Billy just kind of like grumbles and like kind of looks around and then like tries like reaching her hand out to see if anything happens. Like not to touch the thing, but like power.
You reach out, and the feeling before of that latent electricity, largely gone. That static shock, just like a built-up charge. But looking over, you can see these barrels. There are elements here that probably need to be worked in some way to make it more dangerous, and touching the wrong component would probably be unfortunate. This statue, probably not the component that you need to worry about in its current state.
Echoed with intent. Billy doesn't really know what to do with all these things. In her mind, she did the thing that was supposed to imbue her with power, but obviously this isn't how that works. And she's going to be very frustrated about that. Kind of like petulantly kick a pile of like dust or something nearby and just be like, and kind of like stomp away. Very grumpy, and is going to head back towards the windows to watch the sky. Not head on deck. Okay. Very much under the deck.
No worries. So for the rest of you, I believe everybody is out on deck with the exception of Billy at this time. Mm-hmm. No problem. Mm-hmm. So you can see the ship and you feel the momentum die down, and you can hear around you soft elements of rain begin to fall. There is thunder in the distance, and you can see the rain. Now, like looking back the way that you came, there is that atmospheric distortion that tells you that rain is falling in the distance, and it's almost like you can't see back the way that you came. Mm. Looking around, this is like this perfect ring in the eye of a storm, but so perfect. You can see almost this razor sharp edges where the clouds, when they hit, they almost seem to skirt around. You can see Sade, this half-orc who is wearing these fine gray and green clothes, speaking to the first mate at this moment, and kind of, they seem to be going over this piece of paper. But is there anything that you were doing at this moment before beginning on the next part of this adventure?
We don't really have any quarters, do we?
Not especially.
I'd probably just set, like, something over my head to not get drenched in rain.
No rain's falling on the deck. There's no rain falling probably within, as you sort of drift a little bit into this open space, this is a wide, perfect circle where there is no weather that is happening with them.
Okay, well, I guess I'm just enjoying the sea breeze.
There's no breeze.
The sea.
Beautiful.
When I said no weather, there is truly no weather. There's not. It's a very dead air. It's roughly like 75 degrees, and though it's not like super hot, that still air does make it a little stifling, especially because at this moment, give me 1 second. It's only about like 1 p.m. and so the sun, and this is something that for many of you not normal, high overhead.
No, I think Minka would be just like mystified the fact that it's an open blue sky, because I don't think she's ever experienced an open blue sky before.
Probably not.
So this is wondrous and horrifying at the same time.
For many of you, you've spent your lives in Everest or the Feywild, both of which are subject to this astral eclipse. It is an event that keeps the stars from being truly visible, clouded by this forever twilight. And so, yeah, this is very different, a little jarring. Mm-hmm. So if there's nothing else that you want to get ready, Sade is going to approach your group and looking around. She's going to look around and just go, "We are missing one."
Yes.
Hiding somewhere. She still has some of my stuff.
I could go find her.
It does not matter, but you are responsible for her.
Yep. Yep. Sure, she's not breaking
really responsible
anything.
For herself, but
I mean, she tends to like come and go at good times.
We don't need to worry about her.
Back.
She'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell her what I tell you.
She probably already knows.
Where we are going was once a temple to Saloon. who this priestess believed to be the only goddess, the rest of the gods separated by the astral eclipse. The stars beyond were said to be the rest of the gods calling. Something happened, and the temple sunk. This is where we are going.
Right. And what are we going for?
You may take anything that you want, but I am looking for a glass orb.
Right. Glass orb. Alright.
How are we supposed to get down there? You said it was sunk.
Yes. And she turns, and you can see the first mate just kind of and like steps forwards and opening up a bag, fishes out several potions. These potions, they look like the color of kelp, this vibrant green. It looks like, not a sponsor, you know, like the Mean Green protein drink? It looks just like really, real healthy looking. This looks real healthy looking.
A real healthy green.
And as like she swirls, or as Kane or this first mate swirls it around a little bit, you can see it's like clear, watery liquid on the bottom, but just like heavy, almost like chimichurri floating for most of this bottle. Is that the face you're making?
Yeah, Alina's like,
Gator steps forward and goes, "It's really much better than it looks," which isn't good, but better.
okay. And that will do what exactly?
This, Sade says, will give us 1 day, 24 hours. We have that long to go beneath and reach the sanctum.
Have I seen this potion before?
Make an Arcana check.
Some sort of like potion of water breathing?
I was gonna say
Some
she
sort
didn't
of-
actually answer my question.
Water breathing?
It's actually a potion of fish person.
15?
15.
It's a potion of fish person.
You may not have seen
That's
this
why I'm
exact,
wondering.
you may not have seen this exact potion before, and it looks pretty unpleasant, but you gather that it probably is something akin to water breathing. You've also heard of other things that give you temporarily gills, and so it could be something like that as well. Kind of hard to tell with just the information you have. You could ask.
That's a good
Well, I was gonna say, can I make an insight check to see if she's deliberately not telling us what the potion
Yeah,
does?
make an insight check.
13.
It's not that she's deliberately withholding information, but you look around and this is a crew that works pretty well together for whatever it's worth. This seems to be a group that has worked together for a time. And for her, certainly looking at her, there is a way that she moves on deck where no matter what kind of waves have passed over the past day, she is very stable. Unlike everybody else who always has one hand on the boat, she does not need to. It's like she's attached to it. This is an extension of her. And so you would gather that it's really more that she just assumes that you know what's happening. This is like sort of a common thing in her world. This is sort of like if any of us were to give somebody toothpaste and they were like, the fuck do I do with this?
Okay.
So that's more what it is.
Okay, so if that's the case, Alina's gonna be like, okay, but what does it do?
When you drink this, your lungs will still fill with water, but you can breathe this water like a fish.
Right?
Alright, well, so do we take it now or do we take it when we're about to go underwater?
It depends on how unpleasant you want it to be. And she takes out the cork
Less
and then
unpleasant.
just drinks the
Alright.
potion.
Well,
If she's drinking hers, I'm
Bottoms up,
trying to
then.
impress, so I'm gonna be like,
Okay.
I have a mechanics question.
Sure.
As an air genasi, I can hold my breath indefinitely.
Yeah. You're good.
Can I cast spells if I can't breathe?
If they don't require verbal components, then certainly. But if they do, then no.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought.
Or you can, but then it's going to become very difficult.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure. Okay, so Mingle drink the potion.
And what I would say is, from a mechanic standpoint, the way that I typically run it, if you have functionally held your breath and you are underwater, You can spend a minute per spell level if you really want to cast a spell and use verbal components. A minute of your held breath to do it. I think you get 1 minute per modifier for your constitution for holding your breath. So you can pay that to cast spells if you want.
Okay.
Can we cast spells under the influence of this potion? Like, does it work the same way, or is what you said just specific to holding your breath?
You would imagine if you can breathe the water like air, you could probably talk, and so you'd be able to cast spells.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
How's it taste?
thumbs up.
So as you drink it, the taste is not entirely unpleasant. It's very salty. It tastes like ocean water, and the texture leaves a lot to be desired. When you swallow it, it's almost impossible to get it all down in one gulp, and so it requires a little bit of chewing, but ultimately you do get it down. There are pieces of this rubbery kelp-like substance that do stick between your teeth,
Seaweed.
but it doesn't feel like it does anything. Sade at this point is going to climb up onto the side of the boat so that her knees are braced up against the wooden railing. And she's going to turn her head and just look at you one more time and just go, "Are you ready?"
I think about now Billy would probably have come up from below deck.
Billy, come on, drink your potion.
Ori, Billy.
What's-
Okay, Billy and I made these. You take one, and you take the other. Because
Splash.
both of you get stabbed live.
You look over and she is gone.
It's the one healing potion for each of you.
Billy's just like, I need to know what this is.
This healing potion. Oh, that is.
Did you make it? Oh, sorry.
It's like a smoothie.
It's for breathing underwater. The temple that we're going to, it's under. The
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Billy knocks it back.
No problem. You drink it just as unpleasant as the rest of them, but all of you have imbibed a potion of water breathing. And so for the next 24 hours, you're able to breathe underwater as if it was air. So, who's jumping in?
Cannonball! No, I'm not actually gonna cannonball.
I'm gonna mirthful leap into the water.
Yeah, just a little prunk.
Yeah.
Billy makes sure all of her weapons are like locked in place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's gonna
securely
follow.
fastened.
no worries. That's a smart idea.
Yeah. I think we were
No
like,
I only
diving
have one possession, which is my staff. So
No diving over a
Yeah.
platform to go get a sword.
Minka's gonna like look for like to see if there's like a little like rope ladder to get down first.
Yeah, for what it's worth, yeah. Like wound up at the moment, but so on the side of the ship, on either side, there are what look like wooden boxes that could hold like oars. But if you go over and kind of poke around a little bit, you can unfasten it, and there are these ropes that you can just toss over, and they unfold. The rope with like wooden rungs to weight it down. So yeah, you can absolutely do that.
Does anyone mind if I take a ladder down? I don't want to. Okay, I'm just gonna.
You can see, like, you look around. There's that dwarf who, like, is like still burning sage and kind of looking around, and he turns over and he goes, "It'll save you from the spirits. Go!" And he just like starts doing his towards you.
Because she's still gonna unroll a ladder and kind of go down.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay.
You toss the ladder over and like falls taut, and you can climb down, no problem. As you jump in one by one, the water here relatively warm. The Emerald Expanse is tropical waters, and though it looks dark around the coast of Everest because of the astral eclipse, here it is this shimmering emerald blue. And as you go underneath, the sound just dies and mutes around you. And all that you can see around you, even in these sparkling blue and crystal clear waters, you can't see the bottom. You see that sort of filtering light that goes down, and the falling detritus that, there's a word for it. It's called something snow. But as it falls down, you sort of can't see the bottom. It's hard to tell how deep this is, but you do see the edges of Sade's gray pants as she kicks and continues down and down and down.
I think it's marine snow.
Following.
Maybe no.
Marine snow is just like I love that. There's a great thing, not a sponsor, but you should check it out. NautilusLive.org is I think it's a nonprofit, but it's a group that 24/7 live streams underwater ROV wildlife exploration and unexplored seamounts. Super cool. And they have a fancy word for it, but I can't remember what it is. So yeah, marine snow.
Well, Alina's just gonna swim after her. Yeah.
Probably more appropriate.
Doing one of these.
Minka's not a graceful swimmer, guys.
Does anybody have a swim speed?
No.
So you move slow through the water, but you make meaningful progress. For all of you, your clothes do like completely saturate, and so especially for you, Minka, who has like all kinds of like fabrics, it becomes like you're almost like a jellyfish moving through. But you begin to make your way down.
Did Petal get a little potion of water breathing? She does have a swim speed.
She does not have a potion. You didn't ask for one. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Petal's just chilling in her pocket
Yeah,
dimension.
there you go. So you continue down and down
You can
and
bring her
down.
back and then just have her breath.
Can I have a rough swimming order just in case it matters?
I think the order we jumped, right?
Yeah.
I think it would probably be
Sade, can you just put the figures in like a line? Sade,
Yeah.
Ori, Alina, Billy,
Sade.
some space, and then Minka.
yeah.
Or Billy.
Who I think could choose to have a swim speed, but is not.
Hey, listen, I'm going off of how familiar you are with these
No,
animals.
no worries.
And there's
love it.
I don't think she knows anything about sea animals.
There we go. And then
So should we
Chester's
see a
like-
sea animal while we're down here? Maybe eventually.
Yeah, that'd be a cool thing.
Cheshire will just pop into existence in the ocean.
Well, she's pulling a Soge King. I think she's up in the crow's nest.
I think like what happened is you saw Cheshire jump and you saw the splash, and then she cast invisibility right as she hits the water, and you have no idea where she is, but she's probably around.
and probably also pickpocketed a potion.
Or you're like, oh man, this is a great time for some pipe. Oh God, you're naked. No items. What? You make your way further down, and very
That's a
quickly,
crazy potion.
20 feet, 30 feet, the light begins to fade very, very quickly. And by the time you get 60 or 70 feet down, you begin to see the edges of this very rubbery kelp. And the entire bottom of this area, just a living kelp forest. And you can see it grows tightly together. But here and there, as they kind of wave softly back and forth, you do see all the way down, maybe 40 more feet, there's sand. Stone, sand, other elements of fallen things. After passing all the way down, you can see Sade sort of standing. It's more like a general hover over the sand at the bottom here. And as you go down, could everybody give me a perception check, please?
Is it to spot hidden creatures?
Unless that's all you want to look for, then absolutely.
General
9.
perception.
Okay.
14.
14, 5,
18.
18. For most
Alina's
of
like-
you, for Minka, you get down to the bottom, and you see a sparkle on the ground. Purple. Could there be a gem here? And it kind of wriggles, and you see a sea cucumber that just moves like end over end. You've never seen anything like this. It looks almost like a sausage that is burst on both ends, and then it goes straight up, and you can see it has like maybe kind of like an opening, and you can see translucent through all these organelles, and then it flops back over like a slinky and starts just inching away. Very much like a sea pig. But that really takes all of your attention, and you're not really able to pay attention to your surroundings too well. For those of you who are not Ori, you look around, and you can see here, this is dark, and through the kelp, there's not much to see. Every now and then there might be movement. You can see like the kelp just distort a little bit. But you see Minka, who's just already following something a little bit. There are creatures down here. This isn't like a desolate zone, and so there could also be other nice, friendly aquatic wildlife.
With a 14, would I notice Minka going astray?
Yes, everybody notices. I think everybody's kind of on Minka alert right now. Minka's on probation,
Yeah.
and so
Billy would kind of like attempt to like.
You can talk. You don't have to.
yeah, you can't talk.
Moving on.
And when you do talk, it's more like, oh, do you see that? But, so
When Billy hears Minka say that, and Billy's just like, oh. Well, you don't have to stay and look at it. You can just move on along. I'm wearing lipstick.
I just realized I didn't check to see if I took my makeup off from last goth night before I taught the whole class at work today. But
That trainer's so hardcore.
yeah.
I don't want to like.
So that is what you see. The two of you see this kelp forest, very, very dense. Ori with an 18. You can see, though this is a very thick forest, in the very distance, you can see what looks like a larger shape that has fallen amongst the debris here. There are like stones and every now and then like fallen kelp that has become almost like this mushy pile. And when you do see those, covered in sea urchins, red and black sea urchins that kind of seem to be feasting on any of the kelp that dies. But there's something else in the distance. And as your eyes maybe catch the littlest bit of a glint of metal, it seems like it might be elements of a shipwreck. But Sade turns a little bit further to the north from that and points, and through the water she says, "Follow and be careful."
Did it seem like she noticed and just chose to ignore the shipwreck?
Make an
or
insight check.
Didn't even recognize that it was there.
She starts to walk.
Insight. I was looking at investigation. 10.
She's kind of mysterious, hard to tell.
Do we need to be sneaky, or are we just not touching things?
She turns around and she says, "You should try to be quiet."
There's a shipwreck over there. Did you see?
Yes. There are 2 or 3 shipwrecks here.
All right.
Try to be quiet, but we do not need to worry so much until we get there.
Well, what do we need to worry about when we get there?
I think there is something more to a temple disappearing under the ground or water.
Right. That seems to track. Okay, so you don't know what's gonna be there, though.
Why would I not tell you?
Probably just best to be on our guard, right?
Suppose so. Yeah. All right.
How do you normally adventure?
Usually by
You
myself.
close your eyes and walk? Do you sing a tune wandering into an enemy camp?
Yeah, actually.
Sometimes, but they didn't start as enemies. It was more after the fact.
No,
He's
they
a
were
fan of trying
always.
diplomacy, and Alina like rolls her eyes conspiratorially.
She turns, and for just a moment, Alina, you can see there's like a little bit of a smile. You see like a little bit of a tusk. And then she just says, "Whatever it is, just follow.
All right.
And be careful."
All right. I can do that.
She starts to walk, and she disappears into the kelp.
I'm gonna follow.
There you go.
Try to follow.
Are there sea otters in the kelp? The urchins to maintain the ecosystem.
Make a nature check.
Okay. Oh no. Another 5.
You know, sea urchins are probably just really good for the kelp forest and in no way will devastate them without a natural predator. And that's good because you don't see any otters. I have a degree in biology. And I research. I think it still is not quite clear how much I research. I Google Scholar things for this game. So yeah, so you know, totally great ecosystem with only one predator and only one prey. That's always balanced. So
It's like, whew.
yeah, so no problem. 1-to-1 ratio, always good.
Well, now we're another predator, upsetting the ecosystem.
You make your way through this dark space, and if you choose to kind of step down into the silty sand, there are elements of rock. It's not entirely soft. It's not going to like suck you in, and so there is a firmness to it. But if you choose just to float, every now and then the kelp does have that terrible feeling because it is like very flat, broad, almost translucent kelp, where it like wraps around your arm and it feels almost like it grabs you. But as far as most of you know, especially with those rolls, it doesn't. And Ori, it's definitely not grabbing you.
It's not grabbing us.
You walk by the shipwreck, another 300 feet off, maybe to the side, and Ori, you, the only person in the party who has seen it. You mentioned it, but you're the only one. As you look, you can kind of get the general sense as the kelp doesn't move in certain ways where it is. Looks like maybe the back half of a ship, a little smaller than the one that you came on. But you continue to walk.
As we're passing it, is there any sign that like a half of a ship, did it hit a rock and split, or was it something more aggressive? Like, was it rent in two?
With the forest of kelp that lies between you and it, hard to tell. You'd need to get closer, but you would imagine you certainly could find out.
How far off is it?
200 to 300 feet.
That's too far.
It's pretty far, especially with
Maybe
swimsuits
on the
like
way
her.
back.
We'll go there on the way back.
Like 15
if you're good. So,
Essence feet.
Can we go see the shipwreck?
I'm gonna turn this ship right around. So,
Oh no, we're a shipwreck.
you continue.
Wandering hearts, babies.
After the 20 minutes pass and you can see that shipwreck fade in the distance, a larger shape looms. It's dark down here, dim light, not true darkness. And so you really just see silhouettes of these tall structures. At one point, this was a temple that was formed of blocks of stone, although now, once gray, they are cracked and laden with green and brown algae. And so it forms this sort of rusty colored hump in the sand here. You count several of these chambers that rise out at a slight angle, connected by stone tunnels, largely sunken into the silty sand here. There is 15 to 30 feet tall strands of this kelp that run all around the structure, but where the structure seems to have sunk, it doesn't seem to have grown over top, just this sort of algae. Alina, you've been looking for life, and here there's no fish, no jellyfish, no larger forms of life, but on the bottom you see hundreds of urchins that are slowly moving and migrating, and beneath them, bones. Hundreds and hundreds of them. Fish bones, you see a few that perhaps a little smaller and mammalian, all elements of creatures that have at some point in time passed away here, and these urchins seem to be looking for any scrap of food left. Wedged into one of the structures, causing the top to crumble in, you can see there is the front half of a ship that has at one point collided and cracked an area in, and there you do see dark gaps that perhaps you could enter. But right in front of you, spread out and into the sand, there are several doorways, all leading in these tunnels that seem to converge into an entry chamber, perhaps.
Does Sade continue?
No, she'll stop here and wait for you to catch up. And as you do, she's going to turn, and she is going to say, "This is it. Now you want to be quiet. There are two ways that I know to enter, but you are welcome to look for more."
Any information on those entrances?
She tilts her head, and following her gaze, you can see in front of you, maybe 80 feet away, the doorways. There are, I would say, make a perception check.
Are there any hidden entryways?
Make a perception check.
17.
And I think
With a 17, the entry features 7 tunnels. And as you look and peer in this dark space, every now and then in the cracks, you might see an element of the stone that glows or has a bioluminescent flourish, perhaps. It's kind of hard to tell, but there is light associated with the structure. And you see they all converge in a single point into a room with a higher ceiling that forms almost a pyramid on top. And then another tunnel seems to lead further in. Excuse me. And I would say with that check as well, you also notice that above the doors, there is these small spaces that are open. And then on top of that, a symbol, which is what looks like an eye surrounded by several stars. What was your check? 15. And that you're looking specifically for
hidden entryways.
Aside from those doorways, of which there are 7, you see the area where the ship fell in. There are 2 gaps in the stone. Not hidden entryways, perhaps, but they are certainly
fissures created from the...
They're certainly large enough for you to attempt to get through. You might have to clear a little bit of an element away. And again, the ship has fallen on top, and so unclear as to how steady
so
that
not
is.
Like an actual secret entryway.
Right. Nothing like that.
Okay.
I have 2 questions. What are all the little spiky things?
She looks down and she says, "These are urchins.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Any other questions?"
And
The end.
what are they though?
They are scavengers. They eat the dead. And she turns, "Any other questions?"
So which door do you think we should go in?
Whichever we can open. She's going to start walking towards the center one.
Center one being the one with the symbols.
They all have symbols above them. They all seem to have the same symbol. And so
Okay.
I would say with your check, you saw 7 tunnels. There are 7 stars around the eye. And so perhaps some symbolism to that.
Omega sees like the stars and stuff. She's gonna like look at it really intently and see if anything happens. Like,
Make a flat intelligence check.
The looking.
yes.
As we're kind of
9.
As you look, there's like that thing where your eye opens and it zooms back, and then it just zooms back in on you right now in the present moment. No flashback.
No, not like no, like okay. And it's like,
Nothing.
ow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No real memories triggered there, but they're nice.
Oh, yeah.
As we're going up towards the doors,
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask Sade. So, what was the god you said this temple was to before it sank?
Selûne, the Maiden of the Moon.
That sounds so cool.
Have I heard of her?
Make a religion check.
I've definitely heard.
Make a religion check.
Right.
Actually, I would say for you, Ori, make a history check because you would have heard about it in a different context.
13.
13. Okay.
Is it special history of knowledge?
No.
Keep asking though. One day
All
the
right,
answer's
that's
gonna be
still
yes.
pretty
It'll be
good.
worth it.
I make fun of you for it, but I appreciate that you asked.
18.
18. With the 13, Alina, you may have heard of Selûne. There are people who are actually from Petrichor. There's a church of Selûne. This is a person that you would especially know, worshipped by individuals who are prone to changing shapes, especially those who are afflicted by a disease that is triggered by the moon. Selûne is often seen as the protector of these people. But in addition, she is seen as a person who helps navigate. People who are at sea use the stars to navigate. She has many domains. Ori, Selûne is the god of the moon, and in many ways intimately related to one of the prime gods, Mistra. There is some relation there, although I don't think you necessarily know what that is, but you have the idea that this is somebody who heavily related to magic, first of all, and second of all, Selûne is tied to the moon, the stars, and the heavenly bodies. And I would say that's about it.
Then I'm gonna try to go check out these doors, see if there's any differences between them that would indicate one that's like the correct door, or if they're all just the same, leading into the same like
Sure.
antechamber, I guess.
Billy's going to inspect the symbols above the door.
Make an investigation check.
Alina's headed to the center door and is going to try to just open it.
Okay. You walk up to the center door that Sade is kind of waiting towards. You walk right past her and you pull it open. The water comes by, the sand distorts slightly, and you see this dark space, although every now and then you see the source of the light that is not on the top of these stones. It is actually cracks in the stone, and you can see the lights from within. They look almost like tiny orbs of light, just pure moonlight. At one point, maybe suspended from a string, although now full of water, they are just pressed up against the ceiling, the string now kind of slack. And all down the hallway that you see, there are broken boards and anything with buoyancy that is just pressed up against the top. Give me 1 second here.
Now that the door is open, Alina's just going to turn to anyone who's standing around and be like, oh?
Seawater's too salty. It's got a 5.
So you go and look and you're like, ow. Hard to see. There are 7 stars around an eye.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
That probably means something, but whatever.
there is this hallway beyond this door, and you can see probably all the hallways terminate in the same chamber at the end. It is a very narrow but long chamber, and from this distance, with the slight bits of moonlight that filter down through this dirty water, it's quite hard to see. So you're in dull light, even though this is moonlight. And where the kind of boards float over top, it like makes these little shadow streaks that are almost the opposite of sun rays. But you can see on the floor there are eyes, very similar to the eye that you saw painted outside, although two of them here. And there seems to be stuff around them, but here kind of hard to see. Diametaceous snow. I wrote it down. That's what it's called.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. And the stones here are covered in it. Dull red algae and diametaceous snow, where it settled and drifts across the floor. Although as you open the door, Alina, the movement disturbs it and it kind of drifts around. It does make it difficult to see. And so that would bear in mind, moving around too much will probably make it a little harder to see.
I'm just gonna pause and let everything settle.
Okay.
While we're waiting for everything to settle, Minka's gonna try to open the door to the left of this door to see if everything looks exactly the same or if it looks any different than.
Okay, yeah. You open it, and again, it swirls around this little board that almost hits you in the head as it just goes up, and you watch as it drifts up and up and up. But very similar sight, this long hallway. You can see elements of silt that have been a little bit displaced now, and then at the end, this chamber. Mm-hmm. Little glowing orbs that are lifted up against the ceiling.
Yeah, and like the eye pattern and everything looks roughly the same.
Yeah, and it's just two eyes that are on the bottom, on the floor, in the middle of the chamber at the end of the hall.
They look like they're the same. It's probably fine, right?
Can I inspect the eyes, see if there's anything more interesting about them other than just carvings on a floor?
Yeah.
Are they buttons?
So it's down it's down roughly like a 20-foot hallway. And so if you want, you probably need to get closer. And
they're further in.
Yeah, they're in this chamber.
Right at the door.
So it's like hallway, chamber. You and Minka are in two different hallways, and they converge into a chamber. And you imagine all seven of them.
And where are the eyes exactly? I thought
in
they
the
were
center
on the floor.
of this chamber on the floor. Yeah.
Okay.
And so as this entire temple is kind of at a slight angle from where you are right now, you can see down a little bit and onto the floor. And yeah, that's what you see.
Okay, I don't inspect them then. I stay where I am.
Has Sade continued on? Excuse me. Has Sade
That's the wrong
continued?
emphasis there.
Has Sade continued down the hall?
No, so as you let this stuff settle, you can see Sade looks, and there is an approving nod. And after it settles, she kind of kicks up a little bit, and there's the slightest swirl before she moves and uses her hands to propel herself forward so as not to move the debris around as much. She keeps her head tilted slightly to avoid what's floating on top, and she watches the area around her in front of her very carefully. And you can follow
her
her
lead.
Awesome.
I'm gonna do what she's doing.
No worries.
Insight check to be like, does she know this place is trapped and just isn't saying anything, or does she just assume that we know it's trapped? Oh man, I'm rolling so good tonight, guys. I'm rolling excellently. I definitely have no idea because that's like a 7.
As you're watching,
Get it out of your system now.
Yeah, I'd rather roll poorly now.
where you were watching from, because you're at the door, you just see Sade at the door,
Yeah.
and you're like at a different one,
Yeah.
and so you watch as she just disappears, and you don't get a really good look at how she's looking around. It's hard to tell.
Okay. I guess I'll just go
Are
in.
there any objects that would be like a glass orb that I would consider related to Saloon?
I mean, you've heard of Saloon and maybe read some
But
things
like, there
about
aren't
them.
any artifacts that are like
You're not
well-known
Aka.
about.
You're not part of the Dungannon Antiquities Collective, and so you don't have really a great knowledge on magical items.
It's true.
Sorry, Ori.
That's okay.
Is there a door in this chamber that we can see?
So going forward, from this chamber, there are 3 doors. There is one to the east, one to the west, and one to the south. The one to the south is far more ornate. Seems to be a little bit more sturdily built. It seems to have elements of silver that have been worked into it. The doors off into the east and the west, you can see seem to be just simple stone doors that slide up and down, and there's not an immediately obvious way of opening them.
No.
We got a woe.
Talon woed us.
He said he loves us and love hurts.
Yeah.
We love you too, I guess.
You do see, and I would say there are differences to these doors, but without actually entering the chamber, it would be too hard to see. This is dark, and there is like this constant mud. This is dirty water, and so you're only able to see about 15 feet in front of you very clearly. Being able to see all the way to the chamber, you can just see into the front of the chamber, and then it kind of disappears beyond.
All right, I guess we'll just go. Let's just go.
Alina's like already.
Yeah, carefully going forward. I mean, we're going really slowly, so I don't think I'm trying
we
to go
can't
particularly
go
like
fast.
sneakily.
Yeah,
Because it's already probably pretty sneaky, but being conscious of my movement going forward and
so
being
as
ready
you
to
move forward through this space, you can see the slight bits of moonlight kind of pass over you, almost like overhead lights, but the light is so dim here. You enter into the central chamber, and you can see the eyes on the floor. The paint is quite faded, as it has been here for some time, and you can also see around this eye there are 7 of these stars, very much like you had seen previously. And Billy, you got that salt water in your eye, but you can almost swear there's probably some importance to this number, and that might be something to bear in mind in the future.
bear. He said bear.
It's like gonna be werebears down here.
It's a bear shark.
Werebear shark.
In this space, the only thing that you're really seeing moving here and there across the silt are these sea urchins, these mindless little creatures that seem to be scavenging, even here. Now that you're in the chamber, and as you let the light adjust in your eyes, the really ornate door certainly just solidly shut. You don't see any kind of like movement around it, and there is debris that is kind of piled against it in ways easy to clear, but indicative that it hasn't been opened recently. The other door off to the west also tightly shut, but the door to the east, you can see just a little bit of light that shines from within. A little brighter in there than it is on here. And not just this moonlight that seems to be softly lighting from above. You see little bits of green, little bits of purple, little bits of green, blue. And that is what you see.
The lighting from above, is that like holes in the top of the ceiling? Like intentional holes?
No, and so at one point, kind of like you float a little up and look. At one point, these were hung from strings, and they were hung down, and it was a little mote of moonlight. These are called moon motes that just hung and lit the place with actual moonlight. Now, because there's water in here, they've just floated and are pressed up against the top. Like ping pong balls and like, you know.
Unrelatedly, the sun's really cute.
So, what do you want to do?
Okay, so I'm so sorry.
No
There's an ornate door and then 2 doors west and east.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the ornate door has the eye with the 7 stars.
Yeah, similar to what's on the floor. It has the same, what you probably have put together is the sigil of Saloon. Yeah.
So there's 5 doors now, and there were 7 previously.
Oh, sorry. And then behind you, there are 7 hallways that go to those doors. This is like what you're seeing now in front of you.
Right.
I took for granted. The 7 hallways do end up in this chamber.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the east door has all the cool lights.
Yes.
And then the west door is closed.
Shut.
Just as close. Okay.
Okay, well, one door is already open. So we could just, peek in there maybe and then see what's going on there. Because there's like something clearly happening in there.
Billy's going to swim closer to the eyes on the floor
Okay.
and the stars
Yeah.
and try and blink away some of the salt and take a hard look at them
Okay.
to see if there's any, like, ritual that you have to observe before entering.
Sure.
Guidance.
Thank you.
Make an investigation check. Or
Right,
actually,
everyone's
that
in
could
the
be
same room.
investigation or religion. Different results.
You know what? I just wasted a whole ass guidance.
It's fine.
I'm sorry. I'm glad it's a cantrip. And you said investigation or religion? Same thing.
Okay.
Either way, it's gonna be a 7.
And so what do you want that 7 to be in?
oh, let's go investigation, because that's what I was originally thinking, was just looking for a button.
You don't see much.
Nope, I don't.
But as you turn and you try to look, one thing that I would say is you look at these eyes and this star, it's faded paint, there's no mechanism to it. This is bringing something to mind, like you may have put your eyes on exactly what you're looking for, but you're not seeing it right now.
Too much salt.
Too much salt.
Billy's gonna like gesture for Alina to come over, and it's just like, does this look familiar?
Does it
Or
look
he's just
familiar?
taking in the sights.
Make a flat intelligence check if that's how we're approaching it.
Appreciating
sorry.
the
4.
beauty of
Cool.
In
strange
Thornholm,
ruin.
there's a guy named Peter, which is Peiter, and the eyes look a little like his.
Peter.
He has these like green, wide open eyes, and there's like a passing similarity, perhaps.
Sort of reminds me of someone from home. It's not very helpful, though.
Billy rolls her eyes. Just like, and
She takes a couple steps towards the east door,
I'm just gonna
and she
follow her because like there's like shiny stuff going on over there. I'm sure there's something, right? Maybe a hint. Maybe.
I'll follow, should I?
she turns and hearing you talk, she says, "This is the only open door." So she continues to walk. You make your way in, and Minka, you sort of the front person here, aside from Sade. As you get into this first chamber, it is a square room, but the middle is dominated by a cylinder of stone. It seems to be about 10 feet across, and so quite a big piece and hollow within. You can see through. There are holes that have been drilled, and within each hole there is a piece of what looks like sea glass. Through it, make a perception check. Because even here, the light is filtering through dirty water, which sheds, so whatever is within there is shedding light, but it's like hundreds of tiny little like bits that are coming out.
16.
With a 16, there's like a moment where here the debris and the wreckage and all the urchins and everything kind of part, and you can see straight through one of these holes. And within there seems to be some kind of an object that is floating up and down and glowing faintly, casting light out. And then your eyes kind of, they do this thing where like when you swear you see something, but you almost need to unfocus your eyes to see it. And then you realize you may have seen these before because these look very much like stars. And then you realize these are constellations. All of these here, each constellations, and then you see doors off, and there are further chambers that have similar kind of pillars, each of which seems to be shining with these different lights as well. And you see at least 2 other rooms similar to this that go off to the east and to the south.
Are they also ornate, or are they more similar to the smaller doors that are just...
There are no doors, so you can actually see a little bit further. There are bits of light coming from each chamber, so these seem to be very similar chambers. And so you'd imagine there's at least 3 of them, perhaps more that continue along the way.
Oh, they're stars. Oh, that makes sense.
Sade turns to you as she kind of looks and she says, "Do you speak Elvish?"
Yes.
So which stars are they? And looking a little closer, you can see there is writing under each one. These are each constellations, and looking up at the top, you can see written around the pillar several times. Second, this room, the pillar is marked the northern sky. Looking at these elements, the different stars that form each star is a hole that has been drilled through the stone and has a piece of sea glass that the light shining out through shimmers through like an individual star. There are 5 constellations that you can see laid out on this pillar. There is the arrow of Uriel, these beautiful purple kind of shimmering bits of glass that are in the shape of an arrow. And actually, as you think about your own archer form, this is very similar. The next one is something that is labeled in Elvish, the Bitter Bottom Bender Beater, and it's shaped to be very similar to a chalice of some kind. You also see one that is labeled Eyes of the Dark One.
Don't like the sound of that.
You see stars that form elements of like a wing, a head, a tail, almost like a dragon. You see 5 stars that are labeled Adric's Key, these beautiful little blue gems. You see 5 stars that are shaped kind of like a beard, and those are called the Uncle's Chin. And then you see one that looks like a slightly squinting eye. Several stars put together, one that forms the pupil, and this one, this twinkling green constellation, is simply called Warden. Sade looks at you. So?
Oh, well, we got an arrow, Uriel's arrow, and she kind of just like points at each one and kind of goes through them, and she's like, that one looks like a dragon. Just very like.
But what does this mean?
Well,
does this mean anything to any of you?
Does this mean anything to me?
Does what?
Ready to roll.
Does the significance of these constellations within
Make a history check.
the
Okay.
greater scheme of like Saloon and why they would have
Yeah, make a history check.
Yeah. I imagine at this point Minka has also like flagged everyone down and be like, oh,
16,
look at
sure.
the stars.
So all of you see Minka's like pale blue arms in the dark light just kind of beckoning you forward. There's a little bit of silt that into the room that you're all in, but no problem.
Boost.
What was your roll?
16.
A 16. Minka, you tell them about this being the North Sky. And thinking about these perhaps, because for what it's worth, you have never seen these stars. I mean, you've never really seen a lot of stars. These bring nothing to mind of the stars that you have seen even in your visions. And you know enough, Ori, to know that these are not the stars that at one time were associated with Everest. But thinking about the North Sky, perhaps from somewhere in the north.
Okay. Somewhere in the north.
one says key. Does it rotate?
Minka's gonna like grab onto it and just kind of like shimmy to see if it moves at
Make
all.
an athletics check. Four. It's hard to tell. There's a lot of sand into it, and you see like maybe it's on a track and you might be able to rotate it, but it doesn't move in your arms. And with the water and like the garments floating around, and then like a little piece of wood like bonks you on the head, and it's hard to really move it. You're not really used to being in the water, and so like when you try to turn, your body just drifts sideways.
I don't know how to do this.
Maybe we should go look at the other pillars and see if there's any information there.
Sade nods and just starts walking to the east.
I'm just following Sade,
Okay.
trying to provide whatever insight I can.
No worries.
And just generally enjoying the ruins.
Have a good ruin.
Having a good
I
day
haven't
out.
seen this place in some time.
It's sometime.
So you walk into this next room to the east, and Minka, very similarly elvish on all these places. These are different constellations, although in similar shapes. You see what looks like a bow and arrow, not an arrow, but this one is labeled Ulvar's bow. You see what looks like a cup of some kind, and this one is labeled Arista's cup. You see what looks like a spear, and this is called the Dawn Fang spear. You see in these glimmering little verdant green glass pieces. You see what looks like 5 stars that form almost jaws. You see like 2 fangs and like a bottom tooth, and these are called the Night Wolf's fangs. You see 5 blue stars that form the shape of a lock, and this is called Cord's Lock. And then you see another eye, and the purple stars of this eye are the Red Hawk's gaze. And thinking about this, you can see there is a chamber now to the south, and no other entryways except for the one that you came through. You would imagine there are 4 rooms, and each of these is a series of constellations from one of these sort of directions. Perhaps from a specific place, but from what you've seen so far, hard to really nail that down. Yeah.
What was the 5th one again?
The 5th constellation?
The one.
The Red Hawk's gaze.
What was the? Oh, wait. I have 6.
Cord's
Cord's
lock.
lock.
So for the east sky, it is Ulvar's bow, Arista's cup, the Dawn Fang spear, the Night Wolf's fangs, Cord's lock, and Red Hawk's Gaze.
Right. Next room.
Yeah, go into the next room. Sade like stays in that when she's looking at some of these things. The South Sky. The South Sky features what looks like some stars that make up the purple night. You see this very odd looking construction. You don't see any real shape to it, but it's labeled Fierna's Embrace. You can see what looks like another dragon, this one larger and significantly more menacing. This one's called Goretooth's Strike. You see several green stars that make up this. You would almost swear, and actually the name gives it away, there are 3 horns that come from this. This would be a Minotaur, but this is the Trinotaur.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a brilliant green Trinotaur that lurks in the darkness here. You also see 5 stars that are shaped like Asmodeus's grin. That is the name of that one. And then the final one, another purple constellation called the Northern Gazer. In the west sky, you have the Fagard Bolt, which looks like an arrow. You have the Drunkard's Chalice, which looks like a chalice. You have Bahamut's Gates, which seem to be a pair of doors. You see the Sisters of Oji, which are 5 purple stars. And you see 5 stars, again, this looks like it could almost be maybe like a dwarven head and beard. This one, the longest title, Shade Peak's Last King, Jarmdak Shadowhammer. And then the final constellation, blue stars that make up the Eye of Emeralds.
All right, can you run through 1 through 5 again?
For the west, Fagard Bolt, the Drunkard's Chalice, Bahamut's Gates.
Gaze?
Gates. And these are, yeah. So these blue stars look almost like a pair of doors. And if you want, you can make a religion check or a history check.
Me?
Like all of us? Or, oh.
Anybody who's looking at that, these Billy mentioned Bahamut's Gates, and so that's all of these things. Stars are named after things; they're not just random names. And
17.
So, yeah, 17. So Bahamut is the Platinum Dragon, and in Everest, the only dragon that has really had any kind of prominence was supposedly this silver benevolent dragon. And one of the reasons that Everest fared pretty well during the Age of Dragons. You have seen sometimes the symbol portrayed as either a platinum dragon or these kind of silver gates that have been thrown open and the dragon emerging through. And so perhaps named after that kind of symbology. And thinking about the other ones, you had seen Eyes of the Dark one, you had seen Goretooth's Strike, Bahamut's Gates, all things relating to dragons, these ones, for what it's worth. Minka, you have put together, there are very definite similarities to these constellations. You see the archer, the chalice, and the dragon represented, but you also see some unfamiliar forms. You see the quintuplet stars, these all patterns of 5 stars. You see what look like a number of stars. You see several beards, a grin, and a lock, all kind of these concave shapes. And then you see 4 constellations that all have to do with eyes, or gazing, or things of that nature, for what it's worth. And this bothers you. That reminds you of something. Of all these stars, these are the ones that feel the most familiar. And it makes sense. This is the western sky, and Everest is the westernmost continent on Everest.
So Bahamut's Gates. What's the next one?
Sorry, Sisters of Oji.
Sisters of Ode.
And I would say, warlocks, go ahead and make history checks.
Hell yeah.
OG.
All right, we found our die that's behaving tonight.
Yet to find mine. I got an 8.
It's another 17.
Okay, an 8. You never really heard of that. Thornholme's all about partying. You arrived a little later to Thornholme, and so you still have some of your memories. Thornholme goes hard. But you know that a little bit to the east, there is a place called the Dead Cape. This is an entire region of Everest that befell some kind of a tragedy in the past, and the ruins of Oji are a place there, perhaps related in some way. And something about the fact that they're sisters to you, Billy, is a little unsettling, but outside of that, you haven't heard much about it.
I got a 6 on my history, so I don't know shit. I'm like, oh, this is a cool place.
Yeah,
Well-
I got a 19 on religion.
Okay. So I'll get back to that 1 second. The other thing, Billy, that you see with that check, as you're like paying a little bit closer attention to these stars, looking through the holes, you see the source of light, this object floating within, likely decorative, but still shedding moonlight. There are these long swords, blades that seem to be within each of these 4 pillars, and that seems to be what is emanating light. And you also notice something just slither by that hole on the inside.
The stars are great and all, and there's definitely a thing
Alina,
here.
right by your hoof, you feel this, and looking down, drifting right by you as you look, it almost just goes still. You see maybe 2 feet long, a dark
Nematode?
black and brown eel. Looks like an eel. You see mottled sort of skin, and the mouth, as you kind of see it, there are no eyes. You see just like this ring of teeth.
Lamprey.
Very much a lamprey. You may not, Alina probably doesn't know what they are, but this is a lamprey. About a 2 foot long lamprey, blind. And as you look at it, it seems to just kind of go still, almost sensing that movement. And then it drifts, and as it touches the ground, you see it just kind of just sticks and tries to grab, and then it just drifts and drifts again. And this blind creature looking for something to eat, you look around, you see these sea urchins, and as the silt moves, you can see again bones, many bones, and not all of them as small as the ones that you had seen previously, but that is what you see.
Billy's gonna put her hand on her sword.
Yeah, with the 19. And also, for what it's worth, your sword in this space, beautiful. But for a 19, saloon. And what specifically are you looking for? This is like...
So I'm gonna do a religion check on all like the different symbols.
Sure.
Because like I like notice she's like starting to like notice like the patterns. There's like 4s or a 7. Is there like trying to like connect?
So thinking about that, in terms of religion, first of all, the arrow of Uriel, this purple constellation, Uriel, somebody that you knew growing up within this collective had come from the Alt. And they had mentioned a group called Uriel's Watch, and they were empowered by some angelic being known as the World Watcher. And so the arrow of Uriel probably relating to that. And then that catches your eye. Thinking about the numbers, you kind of scurry back to the east eye. You see the Red Hawk's gaze, also purple. In the south sky, the Northern Gazer, also purple. And then in the west sky, the Sisters of Oji, also purple. 4 purple constellations. And then you go back. Wait, there are green ones as well.
And blue ones.
And blue ones as well.
Yeah.
The green ones, they seem to be the Warden, Dawnfang Spear, and the Trinitar. 3. And then the blue ones, Adric's Key, Cord's Lock, Bahamut's Gates, and the Eyes of Emeralds.
That's 5.
That is. Good counting, Ori.
That's what my 6 got me. 1.
The final chamber that you enter into here, the one that is called the West Sky, that one just leads the door right back into the North Sky. And so this is like a series of 4 rooms that form a square in and of themselves with only one hallway that connects back. And so in order to progress on through any of the other doors, there is something that you probably need to do. Or there's many ways to go through doors.
I know how Brenna would do it, but
Brenna was also level 17. A little easier for Brenna.
Okay. All right. So because it's just a lot of information.
Yeah.
Parse all this stuff. So purple is the Uriel's bow.
I'm sorry, actually, with a 19, thinking about like religion, for what it's worth, Eyes of the Dark One. The Dark One is an entity, a god that maybe somebody passing through speaking about different religions would have told you about. This is somebody who existed on Everest tangentially as part of one of the courts, but really sought to sow strife amongst all of them. And as such, this was one of the only times really where most of the courts worked together to banish this person. The damage that they caused was profound. There is a place in the north, a little bit to the east of where you grew up, that is called the Canyon Where Whispers Die.
Oh, I know that place.
And this place was once home to the Onyx Spire, one of the places that phased in from the Feywild, originally a vibrant city at one time, now encased by a dome to seal off whatever is within. And it is whispered that is where this person was sealed.
Okay.
And then you think about things like the Dawnfang, or with religion. A Dawnfang spear relates to a semi-religious dragon-like entity that is sort of a disciple of Bahamut. Cord is the god of storms, the god of strength, and the god of the seas. Worshipped more centrally in Dominion than most other places. Fierna is a demon, and thinking about the southern skies, that's probably over Mithelstrain, the sort of very rainforesty, misty land where the tieflings originate. And so that does kind of track with some of the culture there. But Fierna is the ruler of one of the levels of hell. And Asmodeus is Grand. Asmodeus is the chief deity within the hells. And I think, Bahamut, Platinum Dragon, that's a god as well. And I believe that is all of the religious connotations amongst that.
Okay.
So purple ones.
So, okay. So Minka's just very excited because she figured something out. She's like, okay, guys.
Shadis is you like running in for all of you now, like the silt rises up and it's harder to see. This little eel thing like goes completely still and just drifts and bounces into the wall and like bounces off another wall. And now and then as you are like moving around and creating some more current, more of these creatures like drift out. And every now and then you'll see they try to like latch onto the bones, and these are also scavengers. You see these and the sea urchins. And there's a point where you do see one of these lampreys like wriggles over and right onto one of these sea urchins and cracks it straight in half. And these are empty, these sea urchins. So they're moving around and you do see them like trying to find food. There's nothing really within. None of that sort of bright orange kind of innards that you would normally see. These are just empty.
So no Uni Bucatini.
That's weird. That's weird. Wait, guys. Okay. These are all constellations, right? From different parts of the world, right? And they have different colors. And these ones are purple. These ones are purple. And then there are 7 stars. And I bet one of these have 7 somewhere, maybe. But these are a bunch of eyes. You have like 4
Billy,
different eyes.
When it says 7, you think back and you're like, wait, there were 7 doorways and 7 hallways. And you remember you got salt in your eyes, but there was like something there. And maybe there's something that is relating, but hard to tell. A lot of salt in this one.
Billy, goddammit!
Okay, so the number 7 is important. Okay, and what was that about the colors? How many colors are there? My eyes can't remember.
Okay. We have
Purple, blue, and green.
it was 5,
3 colors.
4 purple,
4 purple,
3 green,
3 green,
4 blue.
4 blue, 4, 3, 4.
But one of them was 4 with one being a pair of eyes, right?
The eyes of emerald.
Which would be 2 eyes in a group of 4, which would make it 5.
This is why I don't make hard puzzles.
As we're like thinking real
There
hard.
was one before that it was just like, how many hands are there? And it took us forever to figure it out.
I remember I did one where it was literally a giant finger
Pointing,
at the
and we were
solution.
in there for like 20 minutes.
That was me being really cheeky though, because you guys had messed something up previously, and that was me going like, I'm going to show you exactly where it is, and you're still not going to find it.
Can I go
so
back
which
and
ones are
look at the
purple?
ornate
Okay.
door now that we're kind of
So-
thinking about like numbers and colors? Can I
this
go
one's
back and look at the
definitely
ornate door kind of through that lens?
Yeah, Alina, thinking about all of this, going back in before you even really inspect the door, you can see the back of the hallways of the entrances that you came through, and above each one there's a small groove that seems like it might fit something. You remember Billy going up and staring at almost the same place on the opposite side, but like really not able to see for some reason.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Where is the groove exactly?
So if you think about the tunnels, the entryway to the tunnels, like this, square entryway.
Yep.
Above that, there is like a little groove.
Oh, so like as you're walking in, it's like above you.
Where like the exit sign would be.
I gotcha. Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, so I'm gonna be annoying.
Yeah.
I have 2 of the blue. I have Adric's Key and the Eyes of Emerald.
Not annoying. Adric's Key, Cord's Lock,
Quartz lock.
Bahamut's Gates, and the Eyes of Emerald.
Okay, and then the green ones are the
Warden,
Dawnfang Spear, the Trinitar.
That's it.
And then the purple ones are the Arrow of Uriel, Northern Gazer,
Yep, Gazer.
and then that's all I've got for purple. But I know
Red
that's
Hawk's Gaze, and the Sisters of OG, OGI.
Yes.
Okay, so there's the groove above. So each hallway in this kind of square, right? So how many grooves are there?
7. For
Oh,
each
in
entrance, yeah.
Thank you.
And so, like, that's before you even turn to look at the ornate door.
I gotcha.
This is like when you look off to the right, thinking about 7. Billy had said, like, there's 7 of these entryways and had gotten her eyes hurt by them. And you see that there are these grooves that seem to be looking, that could be filled by something. Make a perception check now that you have seen these.
Waiting.
So many grooves. Perception, that's 13.
You look around, and the water here is dirty, and Minka just running around in the adjacent chamber has caused a lot of this silt to now travel through. You can only see about 10 feet in front of you. It's hard to tell. Every now and then, as the water moves, you feel like there might be a little glowing object somewhere, or 2 or 3, but you don't find any.
Minka
In the main room?
Yeah.
Minka and I noticed a little bit of a pattern. So, and Billy points at the north sky. That one has purple, blue, and green. The east room has purple, blue, and green. The south just has green and purple, and the western sky has 2 blues and 1 purple. Maybe we're supposed to make one of these green and one of these blue and switch stuff, or something's missing. I don't know. I'm just meant for swords.
Can I now look at the ornate door and see what I glean?
So you turn over and looking at the ornate door with a little bit more of a eye for clarity and having some stuff in mind. Getting closer.
Detail, you might say.
Yeah. Getting closer and closer. You can see in the stars, and you have to get right up to the door because there's silt everywhere now. But you can see faintly at one time there is probably a little bit more clearly carved eyes in each star. And these eyes, perfect size for like a pendant that might fit in these grooves above. And then you think about these little glows that you've seen in this dark, debris-filled water, and there are probably 7 of them floating around here.
So, okay, the middle of the carved eye, is that a groove too, or
Say again?
the
No, that is very much, it looks like almost inlaid gold or a paint that has some kind of gold element to it.
okay.
The eyes that were carved in look like they were actually etched, and there was probably like paint in them that has faded over time.
I gotcha. But it's the same size.
Yeah.
Can I go inspect the grooves a little closer?
Yeah. Inspecting the grooves, you can see elements of what look like some kind of, probably at one point gold leaf that have snagged along the edges. And so certainly something fits in, has been taken out.
Okay. I'm gonna start looking for glowing things in the silt.
There you go, you start looking.
What's she doing?
Look for glowy things. Channel Minka.
Can
I think
I
there's 7.
use my eye for detail? to find-
Certainly. Here's a place to use it.
Use that detailed eye.
And I would say, is everybody helping with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone's looking for
So now that
shit.
everybody comes in and begins to help, roll at advantage using your eye for detail.
Oh my god.
Is it 2 nat ones?
Close.
2 3s for a total of 10.
Oh, that is so
Even worse, so Alina says, they have to be around here. I almost swear I saw them. You look around, fucking nothing. Alina
See a
is
bunch of
looking for stuff that
sand.
doesn't exist.
There's
No,
a bunch of sand
I
here.
know there's glowy things. Minka, you love glowing things. Come on, let's try to find.
just-
The pillars
I think
are
there's
glowing?
7.
She's right, the pillars are glowing.
But in this room,
Yeah, that's the sand.
you see how the sand is swirling, though?
Yeah, that's what happens when you apply some pressure to the sand underwater.
Okay, this
And,
might
and Olivia's just gonna be like, whatever, and
This-
she's just gonna keep.
take
looking.
a while, but I can try.
Minka's gonna try to use mold earth to move the silt from this room into one of the hallways. She's gonna pick the closest hallway and just be like, move earth, move earth to try to clear out the water.
So, the way that this works, when you move particulate through a liquid volume, what you're doing is you're changing the density along a path, and so yeah, you could do that. I would say, man,
They're
making me
5
do
foot cubes.
math. Yeah, but the problem is when you move a 5-foot cube, it's going to displace an equal amount of water, and so as you're moving it, you're basically trying to sump pump this room out, and that's a lot of math. So what I'm going to say is, for sake of simplicity,
Yeah.
if you want to take 20 minutes to do this, you can, and you imagine it will work. It's 20 minutes that you have to wait, and you are on a timer here, so certainly can do it.
I can like try to like move all the earth, all like the silt out, but it's gonna take a minute.
Okay, it's worth a try.
So if you guys maybe look for glowy things, the pillars were hollow. I mean, maybe we could just see.
How tall are
Did
the pillars?
go to the ceiling?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like touching the ceiling, touching the floor.
Yeah, it looks like one piece of stone forms the pillar, and that's set into the floor and ceiling. When Minka grabbed it, there was like ever so slightly a bit of wiggle to it, and so maybe it could be turned. Unclear if that's a function or just happens to be the case.
Billy's like stayed with the western sky, and Billy's going to attempt to rotate the Sisters of OG.
Okay.
See if that does anything.
So you go, and as you touch this constellation, and you touch one of these glowing pieces of very soft, it looks like sea glass that's been worn, and so it's this beautiful, ever so slightly purple glass. As you touch it, all of those purple pieces of glass glow. And for those of you in the main room, you see the other door that is shut, not the ornate one, but the one on off to the west, cracks open slightly.
You did something.
Oh, sorry,
There's glowing. There's more glowing.
I just touched one of the things.
All right, touch another one, but be careful, I guess. I'm gonna go check out the door that just opened.
Are you
It didn't
still
open,
molding
it's
earth?
like it's opened slightly.
She offered to do
I'm gonna
it.
go
She's
see
not
if
gonna
it
see like
can, like,
okay. Gonna do
pull.
one or two to prove like as a proof of concept. Just be like, this is
Billy's gonna swim over to the northern gazer and touch that one because it's also purple.
These stars begin to glow, and the door, as you're like looking at it, opens a little bit more.
That did it. Is you're opening the other door?
Which ones are you touching?
Purple ones.
Okay, keep touching the purple ones.
Which door is it? The one directly to the left of the?
It's the west,
Ornate
so
door?
not the ornate door. Yeah, the one opposite the one that you went into to these star chambers.
Billy touches the red hawk's gaze.
Almost all the way open. You could reach your whole arm inside to this dark space if you wanted.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
And then Billy lastly touches the arrow of Uriel.
And the door just slides open.
All right,
remainder bit.
you opened the door. It's not the fancy one, but
Billy's like, should I close it?
Great work, Billy. No, we should probably go
I'm gonna
inside.
Sade, who like kind of passively followed you as you did this, and somebody was actually making progress. She nods and she says, "Good work." And she continues off into the chamber.
yeah, I was gonna go into the one that just opened.
Okay, so you
Take
head
a
off.
peek.
She's heading
Take a
into the
peek.
main chamber. So you walk into this chamber that
I'm
just
not
opened.
just walking in. I'm like cautiously looking in.
Make
to
an
see what's
investigation
going on
check.
here.
This room is smaller.
What's going on in here?
Was fully ready for like a
I
thing
know.
to come, just like
Giant wheel.
Yeah.
You are dead.
You died. Try jumping.
I know you're referencing a different game, but all I could think of is dun, dun, dun.
Those investigation?
Yeah.
That's an 8.
I thought you built your character to like look at stuff.
Yeah, but I got It's what's it? Mad versus sad. I'm mad because sad.
As the door opens
sad
up,
because mad.
and you peek your head in, this big piece of fabric just around your face, and it looks like probably a tablecloth or a runner. Beautiful purple fabric that's very much like eaten and covered in this gross kind of algae, but it against you as the water like pressurizes into this room. A little bit of silt debris comes in. The little bit that you cleared away just refills.
Damn it.
Billy just kind of like pats you on the shoulder, like it's okay.
Sade and Billy join you in the chamber.
All right, I'm gonna get a closer look. Yelling to the people who are right behind me. Oh,
Well, is taking 10 a thing in your games?
Not like in the strictest sense. You can take amount of time to overcome a challenge. It depends on the challenge.
I was wondering, while they're going into the next room, can I try to find this?
Absolutely, you can.
Okay.
And
but
so
if I hear them yell,
yeah, make an investigation check.
yeah.
Billy's still got a hand on her sword, like waiting for Ori to like scream bloody murder.
18. So as the door opens, Minka is like sucking this water out, and Ori is introducing more. And in this moment, there's like a central chamber, like the center part of the water column moves. And as the silt moves, you see these little glows. One in the corner, one up and almost against the ceiling, almost eclipsed by one of those moon motes. And if you go and swim up to one of those or each of them, you can see these small silver talismans, and each one shaped like an eye.
I'm sending my mage hand out to grab each one so that I'm not disturbing things anymore.
Nice. This hand reaches out through the water and pulls this little token back. You can add 2 tokens of Saloon.
2?
And yeah. So, Ori, you enter this chamber. It is small, only 10 by 20 feet. You see mostly broken and floating up in different pieces against the ceiling now. Boxes, probably a storage area, more of these linens kind of floating and forming almost inorganic jellyfish in this space. There are candles, most of which have become encrusted with salt over the years. There are, as the silt kind of falls out and it equalizes, you can see in this space there are bars that run floor to ceiling, separating a small space that is full of debris. And so it's hard to really see what's within. But there is a faint glow. And this is a moonlight that is a little bit more vibrant, even as it is obstructed, than the other moonlight that you've seen. And certainly, Ori, as you enter this space, it feels magical beyond.
Behind this gate,
yes.
Or cage, essentially,
like a portcullis. Yeah.
Can I try to? It's not like a gate. Like I can't. There's just bars. Can I reach through to like try to clear away some space to see what this glow is coming from?
The bars are set up in such a way, you would imagine, designed so that you can't really reach through. They're pretty close together. And there's a lot of debris. And so you can kind of like get your fingers in there and push like the edge of a box that spins and moves. But it's hard to meaningfully clear debris in that way. The bars prevent any of the bigger pieces from moving in a way that like really clear the space.
Does it seem like the bars are built in this way?
Make
or
an investigation
is it like,
check.
Something that was activated that raised the bars or something? Did you say another investigation?
That's
check?
what I said. I said those
Do you
very
want a different
words.
D20? Oh, man.
Maybe don't roll in the box.
It wasn't in the box because it bounced out of the box.
The box is evil.
And the box was better than the one that I
What'd you roll there? Oh, 1.
The box is evil.
You peer in, and at this time, for everybody else who was watching, you saw Ori like this big tapestry. He like takes it off and tries to fling it, and as it flings, it goes into the back and hits this weird water column and just right back around. And at this moment, as you're trying to peer through Ori, this tapestry hits you in the back of the head and gently bonks your head into the bars. You lose your concentration. You can't really tell what's happening back there. You don't see any mechanical pieces. You don't see any like little winches, nothing like that.
You okay?
Oh, it's fine. Fine.
By now, I think I've swung up, proudly clutching my 2
Yeah.
tokens of Saloon.
It's so salty.
It's real salty down here, isn't
Yeah,
it?
This rag that keeps finding its way to me is so salty.
Shade is gonna squint for a moment at these bars, and she's going to say, "Whatever is back there, you may have, but this is not what I am looking for. We should continue." And she turns, and you can see there is a door that travels a little bit to the south. But because it is 8:40, this is where we're going to take a quick break. Thank you for sticking with us so far. We're going to take a 10-minute break. It's 8:40. We'll be back at 8:50. We'll see you then. And howdy back. We are well prepared and ready to continue playing D&D
So ready.
on time.
We solved the puzzle during break.
Wash
Yeah,
my wax
totally.
hands.
If you are just joining us, welcome. If you stayed with us through the break, thank you so much. This group has been exploring an underwater temple. This is a temple to saloon at one point, although in its sunken state, really just full of sea urchins, debris, and the stray lamprey every now and then. And many motes of glowing moonlight, a few pieces of glass, and now this kind of open, very small storage space lies open in front of you. Around the corner, there is this kind of door that heads to the south. And if you want to, there is no door, just a doorway. You can progress down the next hallway.
As we progress forward, sorry.
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead.
Yeah.
Get a better look.
Now that I've got my 2 tokens of Selune,
Yeah.
I'm like ever vigilant. If I see like even a single glowy thing anywhere, I'm like, there.
Make a perception check.
Become Minka.
Only for puzzling.
You're aware,
purposes.
Minka.
Oh, natural 1.
Wow.
You truly have become me.
Not a
You
glow to
gave
be
me that
seen.
die.
Not a glow to
And
be
I've
seen.
taken it away. You can borrow this one too.
Okay, so
I'll share the carrot.
there's another path through the west door that just opened.
There is a path that goes. So you came in from the door that in this room is on the eastern wall. And the eastern wall is only like 10 feet wide. This whole space, 25 feet wide. The bars cut off 5 feet of this room, like the final end of this chamber.
Is there a door beyond the bars?
No, but there is a door directly around the corner and to the south. And this leads to a at least 15-foot long hall, although with the silt, and there are no like moon motes here down this hall, it's hard to see. But Sade walks around the corner and begins to go down that long hall.
I'm sorry, what is this? South?
South.
Well, that's the one that I didn't see anything down.
You just see like darkness kind of down this hallway. You didn't see anything beyond the bars. You saw like a faint glow,
Yeah.
but nothing really beyond. Too much debris.
And I couldn't get through in any meaningful way.
All you did was try to stick your fingers through, but with that, no.
Well, no, I had looked to see if it was like bars that were activated, or
And you couldn't
I
really
rolled a
tell,
1,
unfortunately.
So, yeah.
That dang tapestry.
Billy kind of like calls out quietly, should I like press other constellations?
I would, I guess, leave this room because I don't know what. There's a glowy thing back there, but it's lost forever.
Just walk away. No
Wait, a
problem.
glowing thing?
Is,
It's behind the bars in there, but
Can I see it?
nothing you can.
I mean,
Now
I
that
know I already
now that Ori has pointed it out,
Nothing you
you
can do
look,
about it.
and Ori goes, "Oh wait," and like puts his fingers to the bar and kind of like goes like this, and a box moves and a broken chair moves, and you see like a faint glow.
Mage hand.
Okay. Straight through. Clang. It's something hard.
Oh.
You explore it, and though you can't see, it is vaguely chest-shaped for what it is worth.
Not a medallion or anything.
No, not a
You know what can
medallion.
be in
Significantly
chests, though?
heavier.
Medallions.
Noted.
Forget medallions. You could sell them to buy more medallions.
you let the captain just kind of go.
And I would say, as the mage hand kind of pop around on this like chest-shaped object, you feel vaguely that there is magic within. And being able to feel that, it means that it must be at least relatively strong. You know that Billy has at least one magical item, and it doesn't feel as strong as whatever is within this chest.
I'll be back for you, chest.
You pull this arm back. You continue forward, and as you progress through the silt, moving elements of debris that floats here in the sunken place, it is quite dark. And as you progress down past the first 15 feet, you enter into what will be complete darkness for those of you who cannot see in that space. So is there anything that you wish to do to like
vision,
you see Sade
I
seems
want to level up
unbothered.
to level 5. That's what I want.
Sade just walks straight into the dark.
Billy like puts her hand on Alina's shoulder to like kind of guide her. Like,
Thank
just
you,
stay
Billy.
close.
Oh, can she not see?
No.
Oh, I take
time I get
Alina's other
stronger.
hand on the other side and be like, "Don't worry, we got you."
Okay, thank you.
So you both you're basically in the escort position, moving Alina down the hallway. Yeah,
I guess I'll be in the front being like, all right, clear the way.
yeah. Never use fingers, always cat paws. So you escort Alina down the hallway, and one by one you make your way through. It would be hard to get lost. There is no ways that venture off from this, and it is 5 feet wide. So this is a very, very narrow hall. You're all crunched together a little bit. This is very much like the yellow brick road. You guys are like walking down. But Ori, you slightly behind this trio, and then Sade leading. You almost walk into her as she stops, and it's hard to see until you get within 10 feet. But she holds up a hand. And in this dark space, who here has dark vision? Ah, the three of you. Everybody. Oh, this is familiar. The three of you can see a little bit further, maybe 30 feet into the space. And in the middle of this room, there seems to be stairs that lead to a pool. And probably when this was above ground, it would have been filled with water. However,
It's still filled with water.
If it wasn't filled with water, I would be
I
suspicious.
mean, it could be filled. I will say you can't see into it, and so it could be filled with air. It's hard to tell, but at this moment, probably filled with water. You can see there are. You can't see all the way past it. The water is dark and full of silt, and so there may be a wall. There may be more beyond, but you can't see.
Is it also full of terrors?
From this distance, it's hard to tell.
A reasonable assumption, though.
Why has Sade stopped us?
Are you asking?
Wait, what? Why have you stopped us?
She turns and she says, "Before I walk somewhere, I tend to look." Shh.
I'm gonna look.
Make a perception check.
Minka kind of like looks over, like turns her head a little bit towards me and goes, "Okay, so we've stopped. There is like a little pool and some steps." She's just like kind of like outwardly narrating all the things to keep.
This feels really familiar for some reason.
21.
21. Okay. That's a perception check for you.
That fucking tapestry, man.
It's salty in here.
There is no tapestry that hits you, but like every now and then you're like, whoa, waiting for it to come back. And so there may not be terrors in this deep, but there are tapestries. So you worry about that. But no problem. You look through the darkness, and in this moment,
Deepest night and full of tapestry.
perhaps it's like the silt clears a little bit. You're able to see this is a room that goes maybe another length beyond this pool. So you can see half the room, and it goes another, half beyond. And in the distance, you can see there are two very rusted, almost like figurehead statues. Vague figures. From this distance, you can't make out details, but they seem to be statues of humanoids of some kind. And if you were to see this place in full light, you would see a pool in the center with stairs that lead up, flanked on either side by statues. There's a doorway beyond that.
Billy narrates this for the group.
Okay. Additionally,
This is too much salt.
there seems to be a very ornate door that heads to the west, or to the east, sorry.
Even more ornate?
Just as ornate as
Whoa.
the door. Almost like the
Almost
door.
like an exact same door, but here.
Yeah,
Wild.
pretty wild.
Are there heavy objects that I could take to weigh myself down so that I'm not floating and can get a little bit more maneuverability?
Yeah, there's debris all over the place. You can bend down, and you do have to kind of wrap your hands up and then shoo aside some sea urchins. They seem to be getting more dense as you go. And as you disturb the silt here, there are bones and things, but there are rocks underneath.
Are there any bones that are like, oh, that's a femur?
Make a medicine check, we'll call that.
While he's doing that, Alina has an idea, and she's like, "Okay, guide me toward the door. Where's the door that we came in?" And when she hits it, she goes back into the main room and goes up to the ceiling and gets one of the glowy bulbs.
Okay, yeah. boing,
And
just
then,
pluck the string off.
proudly parades back into the room with
Like
the
a
light
tiny
source.
little balloon. You walk in and it casts 15 feet of light, dim light around
Yay!
you. And so you have Alita who still can't see to the pool. It's
I
just
imagine
15 feet of
Alita's
light.
like moon
just feels
jumping
Yeah, you
with
see
a little like balloon of light.
Yeah, you see just the
Solve my problem.
the edge of the first step. And then for the rest of you see step, 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 and then this big pool.
Billy, like the corner of Billy's mouth, like twitches a little bit, and you get the sense that Billy's laughing. It's so cute. It's so cute.
I got an 11.
Adorable.
With an 11, you filter through the bones. They're tiny, a lot of fish bones. You see weird like husks that you eventually identify the almost like skeleton or shell of some of the sea urchins that have died here. Nothing humanoid.
Okay, nice. Heavy enough rock for me to...
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'll pick up the rock.
No problem.
Fuck these.
DC 10 to find a rock.
Uh-oh.
Billy's gonna investigate the pool and just like look and see what's inside.
You climb the steps. Actually, I mean swim the steps really.
Much salt.
Sade cautiously follows like 5 feet behind you. And as you climb them, this is full of water.
Shocking.
It's different water.
All shocking.
It seems, and when you get to the top, because you have shifted the water here, it looks almost like a heavier water that laps at the sides. This is a pool, and within, you do see a terror, a tapestry spread out across. You see other things that have fallen in here over time, and here you do see dead creatures, but no bones. They seem almost perfectly preserved. You see one of those lamprey, although petrified. Elements of detritus that have fallen on it. You see like a little stick that's fallen across it, but just like totally stiff. You see a fish curled to the side, totally stiff and petrified. You see a couple arms from a crab, similarly reaching out through the snow. Yeah.
Billy grabs for like an article of loose clothing, which is probably unfortunately one of Minka's boas, and like tries to like with a bone or something like stick the end of the boa into this water.
Sure. You stick the end of the boa into the water and it curls. Whatever is within this, significantly more salty.
There's already too much salt.
Make a nature check. And I would say roll at advantage.
Oh, guidance.
I don't know how much
It's not going to help. But hey,
Every little bit
Who knows?
helps.
You know, yeah.
shoot your shot.
What if the DC is like 7?
The DC better be 7 because I think that's what I got.
Meets
No,
it,
I got a 6.
A 6?
So unfortunately, with the DC of 7, I didn't pass.
Yeah, you were so close.
I was so close.
One away. But
This was obviously used up.
as you like try to what are you doing?
All the bad dice
He's
go to
putting
the
the
shop.
bad dice on the ship
Gotcha.
with Luigi.
Not a sponsor.
With that check, no idea what this is. But the boa does curl, and you would imagine for creatures that like breathe or living underwater, this is probably maybe there's a chemical that's making it like this kind of weird haze that laps at it, but it's almost like water underwater. But you don't know what it is. You feel like you might have learned about this at some point from somebody, but it's not coming to you now.
Can I
Billy-
hold up? Oh, sorry.
Billy like takes one of her like potions and empties or tries to empty it out, like just kind of like flings it around a little bit, and then is going to try without touching the water to like get some in the vial.
Yeah. So you reach down very gently, taking like your long fingers and kind of pinching it.
Oh, Billy's got really long fingernails.
Yeah. And as you kind of go down, you do see it's like this is immensely salty water. And so the same way that you see air rising off a hot street, it distorts the visual underneath and it moves like a fluid very much. And so you see it's 2 layers of water in your bottle now. And the tapestry twitches. Could everybody roll for initiative?
Because they're really quirky.
Yeah, the entire
Well,
time.
actually, let me just pause because it is 9 o'clock. And this might take us, if we do go into battle, till 10:30. Is that okay?
Works for me. Yeah.
Let's go.
Roll for initiative.
Yeah.
actually gonna take the boat out of the way too.
Oh my god! Wow!
Off as well.
Wow!
Did you get another one?
No,
guys wanna
I
take
got.
your die?
Yeah, I wanna take my bad
I
die.
haven't
Yeah, I need
rolled
my
like
bad
above
die.
an 8 on the die.
Yeah, I've been having some real
Chester's
shit rolls. Oh,
Oh no, the ship is the shipwreck.
No, it's meant to do that. I actually almost took it apart to make the shipwreck, but I have a different.
So just to narrate for the stream, where it's swapping out the combat, and Joe picked up the ship and it broke in half in his hands, but he said he was supposed to do that.
Never mind.
Yeah, theater of the mind. This is like the audio description, like what Minko was doing for.
So I do apologize. I needed to paint all of this because I had to build the whole temple.
How
Oh.
dare you, Joe? Oh my god.
oh my gosh,
God.
it looks terrible. Oh
no.
my god, it's one of those things.
I hate it.
Oh, thanks, I hate it.
That
I hate it so much.
That thing.
These are those kind of like glowing statues.
I love to use that thing. I hate it
Those
actually.
have been glowing the whole time.
Not glowing. So those are like the rusty metal. Now that you have your little balloon,
Yeah.
it has like a slight like
Did you
glint
want
off of it. But they don't
Okay.
glow. No, I did not.
No.
Those are.
serious.
Yeah. So
can't
we
show
pull
that
up
on
this
stream.
close up.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is the battlefield that you can see.
It's hard. I'm gonna try to pull a Dan and show you guys this big
Oh, nice. Yeah.
big situation that's here.
Look at that thing. That definitely
This
isn't a
big
cloak.
Mike
It
the
is.
No.
situation.
And I was so happy with the tapestry part because that really set it up nicely.
It really did.
Okay, give me one second.
That's a really scary tapestry.
I've already had two.
All
This is my
right.
second one.
I'm good.
I
Thank you.
change this
don't want
music
a
so it's a little bit more appropriate.
That would be my third.
Did everyone already?
He's
we've
full of all
already
the
had our
cheeses that
second
he had to
one.
make his little bust there.
Yeah.
Not to-
Um,
Please, Nintendo Senpai, don't cancel us.
All right. Anybody natural 20?
no.
Okay.
Today?
25 to 20?
So good at sculpting baby bell wax.
Ooh. 20 to 15.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
I can't
that's
be going first,
unfortunate.
guys. No.
15 to 10.
12.
13.
Oh, God.
14, 12. Sorry, 14, 13, 12, 10.
Yep.
Okay, so 14 is Alina. Who's 13?
Me. Minka.
Oh.
I just wrote Alana down, sorry.
I am battling today.
So,
Perfect table laugh. That was good.
this creature is going first, followed by Alina, followed by Minka, I believe followed by Ori.
I got the 10.
You got the 10. So
followed by Billy.
Billy, followed by Ori. All right.
I got the bad
This
times.
music, my guy. This
Don't want to do
music.
that.
Like, literally, before Joe was like, and the tapestry twitches, Minko's gonna be like, does anyone else be concerned with the amount of dead things just in this immediate area?
I've seen so many dead things.
I wasn't not concerned, but there are already bones and like.
Death.
Tapestry twitches. Billy, you pull the potion away, and in that moment, it twitches on the other side and lifts out. This brine pool dissipates all around as it lifts out, and you see multiple other creatures like Remora clinging to it, but their flesh looks like torn and bloodied humanoid flesh. It's a blur as it rises up.
God damn it.
It is going to go first. Give me one moment here. Oh, hang on. Sorry, my statues.
Thank you.
Up to. Oh, look at that. Look at you go.
Okay, so this creature rises out of the brine pool, and Billy, as you are just right there,
You know,
it is
as
going
I
to
do.
go ahead and is going to make an attack against you. That is going to
Place the rest of us while we're doing this.
yes, please. That is going to be a 24 to hit.
I'll be standing next to you.
Starting this off real strong.
Yep.
So, Billy, as it bites down on you, and you see as this cloak up, there is a face to it, as these two deep-set eyes, this long, wide mouth. There are two weak, limp-looking arms that emerge from the bottom of it, and this creature bites into you.
Ah!
You are going to be taking 10 points of piercing damage, and you can go ahead and actually, you don't even get to make a save. This thing around you. It is now attached to you. And
Am I.
one second. You are
Restrained.
blinded.
God!
Damn.
Additionally, unable to breathe.
I don't like that thing's face.
What is your Constitution modifier?
I don't like any of this thing. My modifier?
Yeah.
It's a 3.
3. You have 3 minutes of air.
Well, that's better.
Oh,
I can last a while with 3 minutes of air.
I guess.
You can last 3 whole minutes.
Now,
That's
it is
30
going to take
rounds.
its tail
Worried
attacks
about what
against you.
happens after the combat.
Now that it is latched onto you, it is rolling at advantage. And so that is going
So
to
glad I have
be
these condition cards.
15 to hit.
Yep.
Okay, and then the second attack is going to be much higher. So both of those hit. Billy, you are taking 7 points of piercing damage plus 7 other points of piercing damage.
Also, ow.
As it wraps around you, you feel this tail slam into your right leg and then into your left knee. It begins to batter the bottom part of your body, even as it starts to crush the top part.
Oh.
As it wraps around you, it's almost like you feel these objects spurt out. And as a bonus action, it's going to release its Remora.
Remora are so cool in real life.
I just-
go 20 feet forward. Ooh, great. Man, you guys couldn't have made this better for me.
I just wanted to look at
Too blind.
pool.
Thank you. So there's one on each of these 3 spaces. I just can't quite get them there.
Those
And
minis are
because
so good.
They have to move only 20 feet forwards. They get to make it a charge attack at the end of that move. Minka and and Alina, you're each taking 1. Minka, does a natural 20 hit? Yeah, it does.
That's farther than 20.
Oh, and I rolled a natural 19. What? No, it's not.
What? These, didn't they come from here?
Yeah. No.
5, 10, 15, 20.
Yeah, so they should end right on these spaces right here. They're in base contact with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to doubt you, just being salty. Much like messing around.
I do so much math when I design the rooms.
Fair enough.
So they charge forwards, almost like they're squirted out by this motion. The natural 20.
Yuck.
Minka, it's maximum damage. You're taking 13 points of bludgeoning damage as it slams into your
Full on his
chest.
face right now.
So remember when we were like,
Alina,
yeah, we can
you
go till
take 2
10:30.
points of bludgeoning damage as it thumps into
Not
you,
much time.
and you headbutt other satyrs for fun. That's not too much for you.
Yeah, okay.
That is this creature's turn. That brings us to the top. Or sorry, to Alina, followed by Minka.
What can I see right now? I'm holding my little balloon.
With your little balloon, you can't even see Billy. You see these 3 creatures that suddenly into you and Minka.
Okay. Did I hear anything? Like, do I have any sense at all of what happened to Billy, or of indeed what?
You don't
the
hear
creature is?
Billy, but because this creature is wrapped around Billy and Billy can't really make any noise, there's not a lot of noise coming out of that area right now. Which in and of itself may be concerning.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I gotta deal with what's in front of me. I'm gonna.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, I'm going to. Poop. I can't see, so Misty Step is like. I'm gonna Misty Step like as far as I can see, just to get out of this bottleneck here, so I can see what, like 15 feet.
Yeah.
Can I come like here?
Yeah, you can.
I want to go as far as I can. So
No problem.
Do you think that this is about as far as I can make it? Or
Yeah, all of a sudden you disappear, and there is like a brief second where there is Alina-shaped bubbles in the space that you filled. There is a brief pop of light as the water fills and instantly kind of explodes the space. Real physics reaction. You know about it from the mantis shrimp. And you suddenly just appear in the space shade, almost blown back by the pressurization of the water around her.
And she's like, oh, sorry. Okay, now that I'm here, can I see what's going on?
Barely. You can see this creature wrapped around. No Billy, but you see Billy's feet.
All right, Billy. Billy, no. And then so I can't quite see the monster.
Correct. Well, it's wrapped around Billy. I would say
If I want it, I can't like hit it.
You can see
you could try. You'd be rolling at disadvantage to attack it.
Yeah.
That extends into the darkness.
All right. So my goal here was to get out of this clusterfuck, but now once I'm here, I look over and I can see the creature, and I'm gonna pivot and shoot an Eldritch Blast at it.
At disadvantage, roll that attack.
Yeah. 13?
13. A 13 is not going to hit, unfortunately. In this place, it is dark. There is debris floating through the water, and there are small fish creatures attacking you. Hard to get the target.
Okay. And just as a free action, I yell out, "There's a big fucking monster and it's got Billy!"
No problem. You yell that out into the water. That is your turn, Alina. That brings us to Minka. Billy, you're on deck.
Okay, so knowing that if there is a big monster, probably some healing's gonna be needed. So we're gonna go our good old trusty fucking chalice form.
No
Chalice form
problem.
glows, right?
Chalice form does.
does.
That's what I'm looking for.
And so,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you spread light into the space. The creature that is wrapped around you, Billy, the way it wraps around, its eyes and this like lamprey-like mouth directly in front of your face. And you see the pupils contract and it tries to like shed away from this light. It does not like it. And for all of you, you're able to see a lot better in the space.
I was trying to see the exact
Thank you, Minka.
a light shed, but I'm having trouble finding it. I think it's
30 feet of bright light.
yeah. So it's I know it's a lot. So it's very bright in here now.
Yeah.
So that was a bonus action, and then for my action, this thing just charged me and it was like right in front of me.
Yeah.
Okay, so even though it's right in front of me, and that's not a spell technically, that's a bonus action because she's over there. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast Cure Wounds on myself.
Yeah.
And then since Billy is still within 30 feet of me, she just needs to be within 30 feet. I don't need to necessarily see her. She just needs to be close enough. She's going to get the residual cast.
Fantastic. So with the elements that are kind of floating in this starlight as the creature shies away, the same light that seems to cause it pain causes you a little bit of healing. Oh, excuse me.
How much level are you at?
It should be 1d. Yes, it's the same. Okay. So, Billy, you get 11 points.
Oh, goodness. Yay.
And then I get 10 points.
Very nice. Anything else, Minka?
If I move, it's attack of opportunity, right?
Hard to tell.
Probably, I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't want to go too far because everyone is. I gotta stay within a certain range for everyone. I'm just gonna stay put and just be like a shining beacon and just like.
No worries. Yeah, you are bright in the space. But that is your turn, Minka. That brings us to you, Billy. So functionally, you are blinded. However, you are not grappled. This thing is just attached to you.
That was the question.
You also can't breathe.
And so, since I can't breathe, I can't
Cast spells
with a verbal component.
Correct.
Which, as I'm sure you know, are most of a bard's spells.
No way. Bards aren't silent?
You know what? However, I'm a bard lock. And Hexblade's Curse doesn't require any verbal component.
There you go.
So, curse. I'm curse.
When the curse
Hex, we'll use that for now. So as you twist around, it's almost like the elements of darkness that find themselves in the cracks of the stones here congeal around the creature.
All
Anything
right.
else, Billy?
That was my bonus action.
Okay.
And my action, I'm going to Green Flame Blade because it does not require a verbal component.
Okay.
Just a weapon and an attack.
Okay, yeah, make your attack roll. I will say you are making this a disadvantage.
Okay. That kind of sucks.
It does.
Especially with how I've been rolling tonight. Ooh. Dang it!
Yeah, but
One of them was a 19 and I crit on a 19.
Oh,
As a 16.
Beats it.
nice.
Hey.
So go ahead, roll damage on that. You just barely are able to penetrate the tough hide of this brine cloaker. There's some element to this that seems like the salt has caked on over the years and almost formed armor across it.
1d6 plus 4, 7 plus 2 is 9.
9 points of damage.
And then there's no one within 5 feet.
No. Anything else, Billy?
Was it bright, the green flame blade thing?
Not especially, probably. Just,
Okay.
I mean, there's bright light here, and so it's not like it would add more light to that. There's a brief flash of green.
Okay.
Anything else, Billy?
Nope.
Alrighty, that is your turn. That
There's
brings-
no like save to get out of this, right?
You can use your action to.
I've already used my action. Cool.
It's like being attached to pretty much anything. You can use an action, but otherwise you are able to do most anything except for breathe.
I've got 3 minutes.
2 minutes and 54 seconds. So that brings us to Ori.
Rounding up is 3.
Sade is on deck.
So I can see pretty okay because
Now that Minka is in this star form, you can see all the shapes. Details hard to see amongst the dust, but you can definitely see.
it's really salty. So.
Is that what Minka's doing? Is Minka just doing like a little shimmy?
So
Sorry, that killed me.
I guess seeing these 3 fishy things coming at us,
Yeah.
I'm gonna come around here and kind of swim up to this step,
Okay.
which I believe would give me flanking. I'm trying to, like in this position.
Yeah, yeah, I know where you are. You're like 5 feet over to the left, but you would fall if you went there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no problem. You are right behind and Minka on the other side of this fish.
And I'm going to use my bonus action to use my insightful fighting, not on this one, but on this one.
Okay.
Which is insight against its deception.
Sorry. Never mind. Just hold on to that ring for now. Insight against deception?
Yeah. Finally. Okay, that was a 19.
5.
Cool. Okay, so I've got my insightful fighting on that.
There you go.
And then I'm going to make my attack. I'm going to use my sword because I figure could fire an arrow, but probably has limited range underwater. And I'm also right next to it, so I'm going to make some hibachi.
Go for it. Make your attack roll.
Probably gonna be pretty gross.
There you go.
Oh, and at advantage, right? So
Oh,
Okay,
did you see that
cool.
little spin around
Yeah.
the edge there? It's very good.
it's not great, but the first one was a 23.
And what weapon are you using? Sorry.
I'm using the sword.
Okay, yeah, 23 absolutely hits.
Cool. And then that's a sneak attack. So what's that? Did my sneak attack go up? It did not. Nice. That's math. 18 points of
18
damage.
points of damage.
Piercing.
As you slide around to the right and you glance over, something that you've noticed as you move is these creatures, and the lamprey too, seem to sense vibrations in the water pretty well. And using the insight from that, you don't try to strike this creature as much as you move the sword to be in the path that it's moving.
Skewer it.
And it just skewers itself along the length of your blade, almost dividing itself in half. I think it's dead. Anything else, Ori?
Could it be a tasty fish?
No.
Because lamprey is kind of supposed to be tasty.
Anything else, Ori?
No, that's it for me.
All right. That brings us to Sade. Sade is going to lunge forwards, and you can see she brings out this rapier, and she is going to take 10 feet of movement up and forward and try to skewer one of these other fish.
Like up here.
Yeah, perfect. That is going to hit. Oh yeah, not quite as much damage as you did, but you watch as she just bisects one of these fish. This rapier, certainly magical. It leaves a clean cut across this creature, across the bones and the flesh, but that one's down as well. Sade is going to take the other 10 feet of movement to kind of put herself in the crook between the stairs and the pool, off the stairs.
Like
Yeah, right there. Perfect. That is Sade's turn. Her eyes are up and on this creature. That brings us to the top of the round and to the Brian Cloaker. So, Billy, this creature is now going to take 3 attacks, all of them at advantage against you. Actually. Ooh. Yeah, that's what it's going to do. So, first, the bite, its face directly in front of you. You can't go anywhere. It just gets closer and closer. And then this lamprey-like mouth takes a second back and right onto your cheek. It pierces into the flesh. And give me 1 second here. How much damage is that? You're going to take 9 points of piercing damage. And then the tail thumps out at you. That is going to be a 14 to hit.
Meets it, beats it.
Oh, and a 21 to hit. Certainly is going to hit. You take...
Oops, all casters.
Yeah.
I'm the one, like, marshmallow.
4 points of bludgeoning damage. And 4 more points of bludgeoning damage. As it hits you again and again, this creature like bites into you, and as this lamprey-like mouth sinks into you, it doesn't seem to chew as much as it begins to suck and extract, and you feel the blood pull in, and you see some of the little scars that have formed across a lifetime of living in this deep environment begin to heal ever so slightly.
So, by unable to breathe,
Yes.
does that mean I'm holding my breath for 3 minutes and I can kind of hold that, then lowers that 3-minute timeline?
Yeah, you can if you want. So what that means is you are exhaling to use those words, and for each level of spell, that is 1 minute gone. So you're trading your air to cast spells.
So I think when the cloaker like spears Billy's cheek, she just starts hissing and like kind of like tries to bite it back and casts Hellish Rebuke.
No problem.
Dexterity saving throw.
And this minute's worth of air bubbles through your teeth. Yeah, dexterity saving throw. And I'm going to say, though it doesn't say it is a disadvantage because it's attached to you. Not that it really needed it. That is going to be a 1. Not naturally.
Oh, no.
That's 11 fire damage.
11 points of fire damage. Weirdly, fire damage to this creature seems to not do the full amount. That you
It's
imagine.
better than nothing.
And so, no problem. You see this little of fire just spark and die. Almost not even a bright light against Minka's starlight that is emanating out.
Which technically Billy can't see.
That's good. That's a good point. So, no problem. Anything else, Billy?
That was my reaction.
That's the creature. That was the bite. That was the tail attacks. It is going to kind of like tug you back another 10 feet. And so it's floating right behind the pool. That is its turn. Oh, sorry. The little bonefish. There's one left, right?
Left, yeah.
So this one is going to just thump into Ori. Ori, that is only going to be a 10 to hit.
That is a miss.
And so you dodge out of the way, like flicking your sword, cutting the rest of this one on your blade in half, and moving aside from this one. It right by you, misses you again. That is this creature's turn, and that brings us to Alina. Minka, you're on deck.
Alright, how big is this creature?
This is a large creature.
Real big? Okay. And how high are the ceilings in here?
The ceilings in this space are about 40 feet high.
Alright.
There are elements that are a little bit lower as parts of Sagdo.
Okay. So I'm gonna swim straight up 30 feet so I can get a better vantage.
No problem.
And then I look over and my best friend is being held by a tapestry monster, and Alina's like, this will not stand, and she reaches like deep down, accessing a part of herself that she didn't even know was there, and she points her staff at the tapestry monster, and she casts Shatter.
Nice.
Shatter the monster, but not the friend.
Well, I put the point behind 10-foot diameter.
And so
I'm
as this is the first time that you cast it, it's less that you're careful and more that you take this primal
No, it's a spear.
kind of feeling within. And as you point, you throw it as far as you can, which is the back point of the wall. And that emanates a blast out that does not quite catch the people in front of this creature.
Nice.
Namely Billy.
That is a dexterity saving throw?
Con save,
Con
DC
save.
16.
Con save. Ooh. That is going to be a 20.
Well, okay, then you're gonna take half of what I'm gonna roll. Man. So that's 10 on the die, so 5 points of damage.
5 points
Look
of
at
damage.
me
Just
doing
like
big
you
damage
said,
over here.
every bit counts. You every bit certainly counts. For what it's worth, I mean, this is damage, and you can see they leave these big cuts through this fish-like flesh, and as it opens, there is no blood. You just see this like ragged flesh trailing as it moves. Anything else, Alina?
Nope.
All right. Alrighty, Minka, you glow in this starry form. What do you want to do?
So, one thing. I checked the radius.
Yeah.
It's 10 feet bright,
Okay.
10 feet dim.
There you go.
So,
Still most of the room and enough so that you guys are able to see, I would say, with the exception really of you, Minka, actually, everything that matters.
yeah.
You can just barely see the movement of the cloaker and not the creature itself.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do, seeing that the fish are mostly handled, I'm gonna take the risk and I'm gonna try to move closer towards big dude.
Yeah, it certainly takes an attack of opportunity. That is only going to be a 7 to hit.
No.
And so misses you. It strikes into one of these boas around you, and the boa is yanked off you. This orange boa just disappears into the darkness, but doesn't hit you.
Okay, now that I can see the cloaker, I'm going to cast Guiding Bolt.
Guiding Bolt, fantastic. Make your attack roll.
So
We like guiding bolt.
It's like you reach back and you take a point of light off the chalice, and it grows extra bright, dimming the light around you just a little bit.
That's metafacts.
That, however, is going to be a miss. You take this point of brilliant light and fling it forwards, and as you do, Billy hisses. You see bubbles come out of her mouth, and the cloaker twitches to the side in pain, and you miss with the guiding bolt that streaks past, hits the place. You can see like wrecked bricks where shatter has like ruined elements of the wall, and poof, kind of disperses harmlessly there. Anything else, Minka?
what I will do is I can't do that because of that's how the rules work. Boop a doop.
Anything else?
I love that little song.
Nope.
Alrighty. Billy, what do you want to do? From your vantage point now, wrapped up in this creature, you can't see anything. You can see like little bits of light above and below you, but not much.
Run away!
Yeah, go ahead and using your action, you can make a strength check.
Are
Why?
you sure it's not acrobatics?
I'm sure. Are you sure it's not warlock things?
Are you sure it's not just like a sleight of hand?
What
Like,
about charisma to scare it away?
You just go, I'm over here now.
17?
You break free, feeling this anger inside you spill beyond just this spell, just this hellish rebuke, and you burst out away from this creature, and it goes wide and is now spread to its full length in front of you. What do you want to do? That's your action.
Say that's my action.
Can she breathe now or still no?
Yes, you are now able to breathe. And your lungs fill with water in a way that's become a little bit more comfortable, and it's very comfortable because you have not been breathing for a little bit.
Bonus action heal.
You fill yourself with healing energy. That is your turn, Billy. That brings us to Orius.
I'm gonna attack this thing.
Yeah, do it. You won't.
And I'm gonna use a steady to give myself advantage
So you steady your aim. And what are you attacking with?
with my sword.
Okay. I imagine you with the bow, but then you put the sword on the bow and you fire it.
No, I'm like steadying myself on the stair to.
That's some Legolas
make
bullshit.
a slash.
Yeah, no problem.
It's been a rough night.
Have you rolled anything above single
The
digits?
last one when I hit, but
What'd you roll?
this one was a 14.
That's a hit.
Hey!
It's a little bony fish.
Yeah.
And so not terribly hard to hit. Most of its
it's-
armor is really at speed.
Extremely hard to
Go
hit.
ahead and roll damage on that.
Big accomplishment for me right now.
Yeah. So you know what? Let me revise that. Heroically, Ori, you strike out at this monstrous fish creature, seeing that it's about to slay Minka. And
Thanks.
how much damage?
Thanks for that. That's gonna be math damage 13.
As it almost streaks by you, you cut the tail clean off, and this creature, still wriggling and writhing, just begins to go in tight circles before it just twitches and dies.
Yay, I can kill a small fish.
That small fish is dead.
And
Killed the small
apparently
fish.
Elena.
Handily. Anything else, Ori?
That's it for me.
That fish is dead, and that brings us to Sade. From her vantage point now, she is going to swim She only has a 20-foot swim speed, but she's going to move as close as she can to this cloaker.
5, 10, 15, 20.
And then she's going to take the dash action and get right up to that creature. And if there's another floating thing,
I guess I was.
she's going to be floating
I got
right
it.
next to it. Thank you.
Top movement, right? If you don't.
That is her turn. That brings us to top of the round and the brine cloaker. So Billy, you cast this thing away. It spreads out wide away from you. Sade turns up on this side, but this creature very much focused on you.
Shocker.
It and tries to actually, as it's seeing you defeat all of these little bonefish off in the corner, it like looks around, seeing these bright lights, the eyes shy away, and the mouth stretches open wide. And underneath the water, it's almost hard to hear, but you feel these sonic vibrations as they spread through. And it is an awful and dull and low moan, almost like you are hearing this long, drawn-out breath of a drowning person. I need everybody who is within 60 feet of the cloaker, which I believe is everyone, to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
Yikes.
Wisdom saving throw. Oh no, oh no.
7. That was loud.
Yeah.
Apologies.
We have like 8
It's
dice
okay.
trays and
Round
you
out
chose
my
the plates.
terrible roll.
Hey! 21.
There you go.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
14.
14. So
Alina's about to have a bad day.
everybody but Alina
Yeah.
and Sade succeed. Alina, this is a horrifying sound. As you hear this, this is the sound of death, of drowning, of the people who, you've seen many bones around here, and though you haven't seen humans, you're sure that people have perished in these halls. This is the sound of all of these things dying all at once, and it is horrifying. You are frightened of this creature. Can you put this on Alina and also on Sade? Thank you.
Take the Sade.
Condition
That is its
cards.
action. And as its bonus action, you watch as it again, and these little things just out. If you could put 3 bonefish all around Billy, because Billy, you're taking 3 attacks. They don't even need to move. Oh no, they can't move 20 feet, so they don't get the charge bonus, but they still do get to attack you. Billy, that is a natural 20,
Why?
an 8,
No.
and a 16.
Yes.
Okay. So first, the 16, you were taking 3 points of bludgeoning damage. Then the natural 20, you were taking 3 points of bludgeoning damage.
Damn.
And then this other fish goes up and does like a tight spiral and a little flip before hitting you with the exact same amount of force. Only so much mass can these creatures generate. But that is this creature's turn. Yeah, it's not going to go anywhere. That brings us to Alina, followed by Minka.
Okay. Cool. I forgot to add the extra genie damage that I get, so he got 2 extra damage last turn.
No problem.
Every little bit helps. Okay, so I'm frightened. I do not like this one bit. I'm gonna take the opportunity to use my action to use my Rod of the Pack Keeper to regain a spell slot.
Nice.
And then as a free action, I guess I'm just gonna be like, damn, that shit's scary. That's my turn.
You're just swimming up there. You grab a floating chair that's like broken and just pull it in front of you to kind of like shield yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
No problem. That is your turn, Alina. You state that. Minka, what would you like to do? Billy, you're on deck.
Okay, so Minka's gonna move forward a little bit. So, actually, no. First, she's gonna cast Healing Spirit, right where Billy is. So it's a 5-foot.
Yeah, little creature. That.
Yeah.
What does it look like?
So it's gonna look like a dryad that kind of comes forward and like gently wraps its arms around Billy. But instead of like a normal dryad, it's more like it has like a similar look of like the cosmos that the rest of Minka's spellwork has.
Like that Pokemon.
Could you just put that, and you could probably put the person on top of that. As you cast this spell, you can see a humanoid figure, vaguely luminescent, like the water itself begins to glow, and then all of a sudden it has form. And as it goes, and it passes through you, Billy, and it's like a warm current of bubbles that go across your skin, like 1,000 tiny bubbles that tickle it. And as it does, you feel it heal. You can go ahead and roll healing for that.
So
And that gets to heal, I believe. You can move it as a bonus action on each of your turns.
So until the spell ends, whatever it's in space, and then bonus action, I can move it up to 30 feet.
Yeah, there you go. Cool.
Yep.
So you see this creature or this being of water kind of drifting around. Anything else, Minka?
Okay, question.
Yeah.
It's in child's form whenever a spell I cast does healing.
Mhm.
So that triggers it, correct? Or is it that thing healing?
No, I think that's right. It's any kind of healing spell. I have to double check, but for now, yeah, let's go with that
think
because that makes
so.
sense to me.
Yeah,
I believe that's what it was.
Yeah. So
There was a lot of hate on Circle of Stars, and I think I remember specifically that was one of the reasons why.
yeah. So I can look up like the extent of the thing.
No worries.
But so that would be a total of 11 hit points back to Billy because I'm choosing both the Dryad, which only roll a 1, and the residual to heal her.
No worries.
And
So,
then-
Billy, as you are boom, 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 bludgeoned by these fish that swim and use these bony protrusions from their head to just drive into you again and again and again, you are being pummeled and then from the back being healed in almost equal measure. It's like you are being tug of war, but with these pushing forces. Very unpleasant.
My last thing I'm going to move forward towards one of the bony fish
Yeah.
and shocking grasp it.
Nice. That's an attack roll?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Nice.
So
Never a good sign.
think it's a 14.
You just laugh at your
If it's a 14, that is a hit.
Woo!
yeah, yay! And then I think let me just get the fuck. It's lightning damage.
Nice.
If that helps. Does anything? It's max damage.
Nice.
So it's 8 lightning damage.
As you reach forwards towards this creature, Billy, from your perspective, from this glow behind the glow gets brighter and brighter, and Minka steps forward, and it's like this very beautiful, like, cosmic creature. And then, if you've ever seen a kid reach forward and mysteriously just pick up a squirrel in the way that they can, Minka just reaches out, grabs a fish, and just jolts it with electricity, and you watch as the eyes on this creature bulge and burst, letting this liquid flow into the water around you. It like goes into your nose a little bit, and as you're like breathing the water in, you imagine you are like tasting this inky element, but that creature is dead. Yeah.
That's it.
That is your turn. Minka, that brings us to you, Billy. You spit the water out of your mouth. There's still more water in there, but what do you want to do?
Flame blade.
Do it.
Am I still at disadvantage or?
No, it's only when it's attached to you.
Yay. Natural 20.
There you go. Love to see it. Roll damage on that. This is the green flame blade too.
Mm-hmm.
Dope. Oh, double all the dice.
Oh, hold on. I have to see how much extra damage I do because I crit. Because of Hexblade's curse. I don't know if there's extra damage or if it's just I get an extra. Cool. Less happy, but still happy. So that's 9 plus 4, 13 plus 2 is 15. And then it's just 5 spell attack damage of fire damage because I'm not 5th level yet to get die for the green flame blade damage. So 15 to Cloaker. 15?
20. Because 15 plus the 5, right?
No, well, the 5 goes to something 5 feet next to it, which happens to be a bonefish.
Oh,
Hey.
So that was a lot of numbers.
15 for the Cloaker,
Okay.
5 for the bonefish.
Fantastic. Thank you. So with that, the cloaker, as this green flame blade slashes across its chest, these wings out wide as it tries to wrap around you, it has to pull back and this flesh splits open. There's no blood, but you can see this cartilage-like skeletal sort of structure. You see a heart beating underneath that. You see other organelles. It's that did a lot of damage to it. It's looking kind of rough. The fish next to it just bursts.
Yay!
Very nice. Anything else, Billy?
Who wants some bardic? Who wants some bardic?
I'll
I'm
take
gonna say
Bardic.
no.
Billy's gonna shout for Ori because she can't see him. You're down there.
I'm over here.
get over here. And then that's Billy
Bardic
giving
inspiration.
Bardic.
No problem.
Shouting at you.
It's less inspiration and more like, "Oop, don't want to piss her off." And you start running forward.
It's motivation.
Yeah, it's motivation, less than inspiration.
Bardic motivation.
Yeah, bardic motivation. I love that. So no problem. You give some bardic motivation to
Conceptually
Ori.
inspired.
Can't really play the pipes under the water.
Tough to do. Billy, anything else?
That'll be Billy's everything.
There we go. Ori, that actually strangely does motivate you. What would you like to do?
Here's your bardic.
Thank you. I'll try not to fuck it up.
What are you doing?
So I'm gonna use my bonus action to steady aim,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna try to shoot it with an arrow.
Which?
My bow and arrow. I'm shooting this guy.
There you go. Okay, yeah, you can definitely see it. With Minka much closer now, the bright light hits it and illuminates it quite well. Go ahead and make an attack roll.
Okay. And steady aim to give it the old advantageous shot.
As you said.
And I can choose when I use the bardic inspiration, right?
Correct. Yeah, bardic inspiration
I'm
is
gonna wait
so good.
until after I get 2 3s on this.
Bardic motivation is less good.
Go ahead.
What was that roll?
It was 14 to hit.
That is going to be a miss,
So I'm
unfortunately.
going to use the bardic
There
inspiration.
you go.
Use it.
16.
Just hit.
Hey!
Just hits. That's
you
bardic
needed.
motivation.
See,
Inspired.
less good. I'll take that die back though.
You're about to pull the trigger, and in your mind, there's like a quick montage of all the times that you've seen Billy use that reaction attack where she hisses and the skin gets a little bit more purple, and you're like, I'm going to take an extra second to aim.
Just take into account the shifting waters. That's going to be... that's 19 points of piercing.
19 points of piercing.
Great damage roll.
Past you, Minka, like over your shoulder and then under your arm, Billy, this arrow just streaks out and forwards until it pierces into the rib cage of this creature through the slash that you had made. The arrow just disappears into the creature. You see like elements of torn flesh just emerging out as it like is still emitting this low moan. The moan chokes off and you see elements of scraps of flesh come out of the mouth as well. It is badly hurt, but still up. Anything else, Ori?
That's it for me.
All right. That brings us to Sade, who is frightened of this creature. She can't get any closer, but she is going to, at disadvantage, make an attack. That is going to be a 15. And so she slashes out, and this creature, she like isn't committing to the swing, just trying to stay back defensively. But that is Sade's bonus action, disengage, and she is going to take 5 feet of movement back, actually. That is her turn. That brings us to the top of the round to this Brian Cloaker. This creature is looking rough. That last arrow seemed to really damage something within it. At the moment, how far away are you, Billy, from it?
I'm within 5 feet.
Within 5 feet? Okay. It is going... making... it's not real... How smart is it? It flaps hard and tries to run down this hall. It would provoke an attack of opportunity if you want to take it, Billy.
Yes.
Go ahead and make that attack roll.
Out of here.
It moves backwards, so it flaps, and the water almost like knocks you out of the way, Billy.
Yeah.
What was that roll?
14.
14. You lash out, but the pressure of water from these great wings almost knocks you over, and you have to steel yourself just to stay. And this creature projects itself down the hall. It moves 40 feet, and then an additional 40 feet.
Is it
which
going under and through this doorway,
Oh, yeah,
or is
it is.
there a bigger, like...
Yeah, it's going through the door. I don't have bigger doors.
But
the
it's
doors
like-
are 10 feet wide and 10 feet tall.
So we still see it?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, you can see it. Although, I mean, it is literally moving 80 feet. And so you see it as far as the light will take it, and then it vanishes into the dark. And I would say with the light, you can see there is a like an intersection, and it just hooks around and vanishes out of sight. But still very much within the structure. And because all of these creatures are dead around you, That take you out of
one
initiative. I believe that fish is dead. I just don't think it got taken off.
No.
It has 2 hit points, and so I'm going to say for flavor,
Just go up and skewer it.
well, this is really just like the last bit of like the flame blade just hits it and it dies. It was an old fish. It wasn't doing
It
great.
had a heart attack.
Yeah. It had Popeye already. It wasn't
My
doing great.
friends.
So, let me pull you out of initiative here. You are left in this space that is just absolutely chaotic with swirling sand, bits of debris that are going everywhere, and you can see these rusty statues. There's the brine pool covered and filled with all these dead creatures. In this moment that you have, as the chaos and the energy dies down, what are you all doing?
Am I still frightened? Or no, I guess it's not within sight anymore.
Yeah, so it's gone.
Everyone okay? You good?
Billy?
Yeah,
If
ish.
if you need healing, just stay next to this thing.
Billy's not gonna move.
Come on, Billy. And Alina's gonna go and like drag
my way
Billy.
Nope. Right
Fighting
here's
arm.
good.
Was
It's
anyone-
like
was
sitting
anyone-
right next to the healing spirit. Just like, nope. Need
Oh,
a
I
second.
thought you were saying you refused to go get healed. That
No, I'm next to spirit.
No problem.
I'm gonna float down near the spirit.
So the rest of it would be 13 points.
13 points.
Yeah. So if you want, the wording of the chalice is when I cast the spell that restores hit points.
Yeah. That
Yes.
would make sense. Absolutely.
Yeah, so would just the first one have the bonus, and then the rest of them, since it's a continuous spell effect after?
Yeah, so it's the casting of the spell, not the
Yes.
effect of the spell.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first time
Oh,
bonus.
it's when it restores. It's when does it say when you cast a spell that restores hit points?
Yes.
So it's when you cast it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would be the first time cast,
Exactly.
that bonus, and then every point after that would be the not
Regular
bonused.
healing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. That's how I did it. So
Excellent.
there you go.
Beautiful.
if I swim down next to your healing spirit, do I get anything? You said if you need healing, come. I don't need it. I just don't know how the spell works.
You swim down and you're about to swim through it, and you see it just hugs Billy and
Okay, good.
fades
Okay.
away.
Yeah, everyone has a
It's
I
like
didn't
that
know if
scene.
it was like Dan's healing.
It's like that
aura.
scene from
It's
Ghost.
like it has a certain amount
it just
of
wraps
like,
around Billy
pulses
and
in
just
it,
fades
and then it
away.
goes
And then
away.
just-
Totally fine.
Alright. So, but I can keep. Okay,
Done
now
for
my next
you.
question is, because starry form takes the place of beast shape, does it last for as long?
I believe so. Yeah, it really is just taking the form of
Yeah.
beast shape.
Yeah. Okay. So Minka's just gonna stay glowing. I can hold this for a while, I guess, since it's
you.
been so dark.
Thank you.
Do you like cramp at all?
Do you cramp?
No. It's just everything's really shiny all the time.
Should we keep following this thing?
You want to
Minka,
follow it?
as the silt dies down a little bit and your bright light emanating in this room, you peer down into the brine pool, and now that the light is here, you do see some reflections. Through this toxic water, you do see what looks like a gleaming, and here you saw all these creatures preserved, and so it's not like things rust in the pool, gleaming metallic lockbox.
Oh hey.
Couple gold coins.
Oh my god, there's like
What do you see?
treasure. There's treasure, guys. Look.
Mage handed.
It's a small lockbox, and it's what, 5 pounds?
10 pounds.
10 pounds, no problem. Yeah. You wrap the hand around it and visualize that in your mind and pull it up. The silt displaces, but you pull this lockbox up. You also can reach back down and you can pull out 4 gold coins.
Nice.
Just kind of dust them off. And as you are shifting things, for the first time, you see a little bit of a larger bone in this pit. And you'd imagine this is probably where the larger
That
ones
looks
are.
pretty humanoid.
And if they aren't preserved, it probably means that they were eaten.
So there's like a lot of dead things here. So
Does it seem like the bones are consistent with the size of the creature that we just fought, or is there the possibility that there is something larger and more predatory than the thing that we just encountered?
Make a nature check. It's a rough night for Ori.
6.
It's a rough night for all of them.
You peer down into these
great
bones, and it's hard because in this space, with all the debris moving around there, and you just came through a room that was storing tapestries. Now the wake is catching up, and that same tapestry now drifts through, and you're just like it's hard to focus.
It starts to like envelop.
Yeah.
It's like when there's like an old tissue in a pool.
Yeah, except that tissue just almost killed you 5 seconds ago.
What pools have you been in?
Is a lockbox?
Yeah, Can I try opening the lockbox?
Sure. It is locked, however. It has been here for a long time, and though there is no outward signs of rust, whatever brine exists within here has certainly weakened the metal. And so even as you try to move it, you can see the metal beginning to bend and twist, and no problem, you can just pry it open. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, please.
Sure. You pry it open and big bubble of air goes out. You see there was a deck of Taroka cards that was in there, and it immediately sinks down a little bit as it begins to log with water. You see that there is a little brooch crafted from gold, and set within there's a beautiful moonstone. And also now, immediately probably becoming ruined, a book. And even as the water seeps into the pages, you can see little bits of ink beginning to drift away from the page.
I look at it as fast as I can to see, like, can I read the cover?
Do you read Elvish?
What?
Do you read Elvish?
I do.
Followers of Saloon, it reads, and you open it up and the pages just wash away. You see pictures, symbols. This is probably a book about Saloon. Was.
Okay.
Please tell me that book wasn't important.
I think it was
Usually,
like a.
it's better to open things when you're not underwater, just as a for future
I
reference.
got excited.
Shade peers over
sorry.
your shoulders, looking at the different objects, and just kind of shakes her head. Clearly, what she's looking for, not in here.
Do I spot any not medallions? What were you calling them? The silver
Medallions.
Yeah, they're medallions.
Yeah, yeah.
Saloon's medallions.
Do I see any of those in there?
I think I don't remember what I called them, but no.
Okay.
And you would imagine those were all back in that first room. So at some point, if you do want to return there, you can probably look for them.
Okay. Tokens, you called them.
Tokens,
See, I
yeah.
told you they were all in that room. Sorry.
I think it's gonna look at the ornate door and like she's gonna.
I wouldn't have put them all in one.
Can she put together a spatial awareness thing to see like, is this like the same room as the front room?
The first room,
that
the ornate
links-
door went south.
Yeah.
From this room, which you had gone west and then south to get to, has an ornate door to the east. And so, yes, you would imagine those both lead
Yeah,
to a
the same
similar
room.
place.
Yeah. Okay. And well, there's another door here.
There is, sorry. So, as I said, between these two statues and as pictured, where that cloaker disappeared, there's another door.
Yeah.
A doorway. There's no, like, physical door. It's just a hallway.
Yeah. So it's like.
Yes. Yes, exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, just like this, there's 3 doorways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, well,
So, follow this thing here.
well,
Try to,
we're
I don't think I
looking.
understand why you want to follow it.
because usually, if there's something like that, it's gonna go back to somewhere to heal and recuperate.
We
and
could
it's-
just leave it.
But usually, also, all the good stuff is where those sorts of things tend to go.
Well, it was in this giant pool. And now we have the stuff that we're in.
A soggy book, so
Sade approaches all of you and just says, there is only one way forward. So, what I need is not here.
So, okay, question. Looking for a sphere of glass, right?
Yes.
Is there any chance it would be in the really ornate room next to us?
He turns and looks. Likely. But unless you know a way to open this door, we need to go forward.
Alina's gonna be like, okay, I saw there are grooves in the main room. Grooves, above the tunnel doors. And I found these medallions, and I think that it put them in the grooves. But I think there's 5 more. I lost my accent.
It's being underwater.
And I think there's got to be a way, some sort of mechanism to open the door. I mean, I agree. There's an open door that way. We can check it out. But I think that eventually, these grooves are going to be important. I think it's like a key or something.
Makes sense.
Just saying.
All right. Well,
But I guess this is the question now. Do we go down what's already open and maybe see what's there? Maybe there'll be more medallions or other things that we can use, or do we go back to the front room?
well, we've already
Open up
been
the big
there.
one.
So
Yeah, but if there's grooves that open a door,
it's a big if. You got,
No, I
you got-
saw the grooves.
Right,
I
but
just
you
don't
have the
know.
two. You got two of those. And
There must be more of them. It was
Oh,
chaotic in there. I'm sure if we go back once things settle down, we'll be able to find them.
Sade sighs and just says, "What do you want to do?"
Well, I want to go with you that way. But
I'm fine with that, I suppose. I just needed to make it known that there is a mechanism in that main room.
well, when we
Okay.
go back, we can check it out. 'Cause we're
Alina?
going to exit.
That is good work. Keep your eyes open.
Thank you, Sade.
She heads off to the south.
Okay, so I guess we're going there first, and then when we don't die, we'll come back.
Right.
Good plan.
There are so many bones here, guys.
There are a lot of bones, aren't there?
As you
Where
walk,
they all come from?
it's almost like there are more bones. And Ori, you have been looking before. Hey, a femur. There are humanoid bones mixed in here amongst the fish and the crusts of sea urchins, and there are many, many more of these sea urchins, these black and purple and red spiked creatures that are just suctioning on to the different bones and surfaces here.
I don't like the
Living
sheer
ones?
amount of them. There's so
Not
many.
just the husks that we saw before, but also living urchins.
Yeah,
Billy's like prodding a few as she walks past, like,
they're spiky. They kind of hurt if you do so with your skin, but aside
no,
from that,
sword.
oh, with
Prodding
your
the sword.
if you want, I mean, by pushing it lightly, you just tap them. If you push it harder, it goes into them, and that's what happens.
A little
I mean, my guess is
yellowish
that
If you
this-
do that, Billy, you invert this creature on the sword, and licking it, it's empty. It's certainly alive, but there is no flesh or meat within this creature.
This feels wrong.
Yeah, are they like? Because you said that before. Are they skeleton urchins somehow? Like skeletons? But
Like
urchins?
undead?
like
Billy kind of looks down at
Right
the
in the
bones and
house.
like,
Make
Stop.
a nature check.
I
if
mean,
you want.
everything else is bones, right? And the outside of the urchin, that's like.
I was gonna
the
have Billy
urchin's-
just stomp down on one of the bones
bones.
real hard.
You can do that too, no problem. You stomp down on one of the bones real hard. Make an attack roll.
Billy doesn't have a whole lot of force behind
It's
that
hard
stomp.
in the water, yeah.
Because that's a 2 on the die.
You drive your leg down and you stomp. The bone just kind of clatters against the stone and bounds off, and you kind of bound off a little too. Bones are pretty strong. It takes 1,600 pounds of force per square inch to break them.
I mean, I think that there were lots of creatures and people in this facility, and then it sank, as we know,
They're
and
not. Now they're bones.
yeah, I know,
Past
but
tense.
you know that's where the bones came
They
from.
still are.
What if they're
bones.
cursed?
Well, if they're
That's
cursed,
that's
then
we're
my
already here,
concern.
aren't we?
We have like a dead bone spike thing
I'm gonna try to
feeding on
follow
more bones.
the direction that it went.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when it went south, you saw it hook around and to the east, and this four-way intersection that you are now approaching. And so you get a little bit closer with Sade in the lead. Some of you engaging in some other things as you walk, but you reach this four-way intersection. Looking to the west, you can see this passage continues, and Minka's still in her starry form. You have a little bit of light. You can see it continues down about 30 feet before it reaches a T intersection at the end. Turning to the east, the direction that this cloaker went, you can see what looks like another chamber, and immediately in front of you, you can see 15-foot tall statue that dominates this room, and even from here you can tell from the little that you know about Saloon, this was her at one point. Very similar to the other statues, like rust and algae crusted over from time. You can see it's on a slightly raised stone dais, and even though this entire structure has sunk, from this distance you can see there's old wax candles still that cling to the edge of it like holdfasts on the stone. And that's mostly what you see. There is there's something on the floor similar to those eyes, although from this distance you can't see it.
So that's these two directions. You say it's a four-way intersection?
Yeah, sorry. And then straight ahead, give me 1 second here. Straight ahead, you see there is a room that looks like at some point maybe was damaged. And you remember you saw a number of these rooms had damage on the outside. And so the rubble has collapsed and crumbled in. Peering through, you would need to get like right up next to it. You can see there are urchins that are like moving in and out. There's slimy algae. But it's like there is something just a little bit beyond. You've already seen chests and things like that put just out of reach. And then go ahead and make a perception check as you look at it from the intersection. This is like 15 feet further ahead of you, and then just like crumbling stone in this chamber.
Okay. That's not the right one.
While Ori is looking at this, is anybody else doing anything?
I am ever vigilant for
Oh my
more
god.
medallions.
Okay, make a perception check.
Literally another 3
Nice.
for a 10.
Nice.
That's a 9.
Every
You guys are killing it tonight.
Thank
gotten
you.
Murdering it.
I'm
like-
killing it.
With a 19, Elena, being ever vigilant, you keep an eye on what Ori is doing as he like looks into these cracks and doesn't seem to be able to see anything. And as Ori gets closer and closer and closer, the sort of fuzzy red, almost rust-like algae seems to react in some way. As Ori gets a little bit closer, it's almost like these hair-like strands begin to stretch out. And they get a little bit closer to Ori. And as Ori gets closer, because he really can't see anything, they almost begin to wrap around his arms and his legs.
Ori, stop.
But because it's 10 o'clock, this is where we're going to end for this evening. So thank you for joining us for this session of Courts of Everest in the sunken temple of She Whose Tears Drown the Sky. We will join. We will resume this game.
worse than the other thing.
We'll resume this game next week on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you can't wait that long, join us on Thursday for the rebroadcast of the original Starfinder one-shot, Diner in the Drift. You can meet Lola. You can meet the various slimes that exist within that diner. But until then, please stay safe. It is crazy out there. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.